There are over 1,000 UFO sightings reported around the world every month. 90% of these sightings can be explained, but 10% cannot. Officially and unofficially, the U.S. government has been investigating UFOs since 1947. Their top secret goal is to find out what's behind these unexplained sightings. The Pentagon classifies these as unusual airborne anomalies, but a better term is X-Files. Join us as Mack, Juan-Juan, and Commander Cobra explore these unsolved cases. UFO incidents that even baffle the U.S. military. This is Mack Maloney's Military X-Files. And now, here's Mack Maloney.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Hey, this is Mack Maloney. We have a really big shoe for you tonight, but first, let me introduce the members of the posse here for the, is it 2-0?
20th, yep.
Wow. 20th consecutive week.
That's right.
The very famous Juan-Juan.
Unbelievable. What stamina I have.
If that's what you want to call it?
That's
yeah.
right.
Okay. You
Hello,
taking any
Matt.
pills for this or stamina pills?
No, totally clean.
You sure?
I'll pee in the cup if you want to check it yourself.
No, we'll pass on that. Okay.
All right. Okay, whatever.
Also, at a disclosed location, one studio over, protected by bulletproof glass and sandbags.
I will not be drinking the ginger ale that was provided to me for the show after that last comment by Juan-Juan.
I didn't even hear. What did he say?
Well, I guess, Mac, the jig is up.
Oh, I see. Okay, the pee in the cup thing. Okay, all right. All right. Well, we're only 52 seconds into the show, but anyway, that was Commander Cobra, once again stepping on his own intro.
That's right.
I thought I waited politely.
I didn't. Did I introduce you?
I thought you
Did
had
I?
said my name.
Yes, no, you didn't. You misheard. In a disclosed location, separated by bulletproof glass and sandbags. They call him on the street. You know what they call him on the street, Juan-Juan?
What, Sandman?
Coco. It's
Coco.
Commander Cobra.
Right.
That's Coco. That's his rap name.
That's right.
Do you remember your rap name?
No, I don't.
You do, don't you?
It was stupid.
No, it wasn't. It was cool. It was. Do you remember Cobra?
Yeah, I had it written down. Too.
J Jazzy Swoop.
Yeah,
J.
Swoop.
Jazzy
I knew
Swoop.
the last part was Swoop. JJ Swoop. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Whatever.
So
See, the problem that he doesn't have, because he's a man of action, it's hard to shoot holding your pistol sideways saying JJ Swoop.
I know.
Wow.
I really like
With
it.
Coco, though, you can just fan your hand right over the hammer if you have that.
are you
Coco.
talking about peeing in the cup, or are you talking about shooting a gun?
This one's for shooting, this one's for fun. I'm going to leave it at that.
There we go. Hold on.
This is my rifle. This is my gun. This is for fighting. This is for fun.
Must be a military thing, folks.
What movie was that from?
I don't want to know.
Full Metal Jacket.
Exacto
yeah.
Mondo.
Terrible movie.
That was an awesome movie.
No, it
what are you
wasn't.
talking about?
Stanley Kubrick had, gone out of his
Oh,
mind.
I
by
love
that time.
Stanley. Oh,
Also,
Huge fan.
in an attempt to kind of keep everything in line tonight, sitting in with us. I've said it before, Juan-Juan.
Good
You
luck with
know,
that.
you get a good show when celebrities want to just drop in on you.
I know it.
Right? And who's with us tonight, live and in person? But Mitch Stinson, the carrier pilot turned stand-up comedian. We should clap.
Wow. I get the ovation. That's fantastic. You know what I heard? I heard that the only way to get your rap name is to put the word little in front of the last thing you ate.
Little Cheerios.
Little bacon.
Unfortunately, I had a salami sandwich
Boo.
today. So
It's already into the material. I like it.
trying out new stuff there, Commander.
I'm not trying out your salami either. I don't want the ginger ale, and I don't want the cold cuts.
That's sick. We should might as well salute the commander too. We missed a couple weeks, and
It's excellent that
I got a
we
letter
have
from his
expert guidance in the control room tonight with Mitch
Yes, right.
being able to score and mentor the salute tonight.
The
Okay.
salute.
Oh, I see. Right, he's gonna judge the mental. Okay, so here we go.
Okay.
Contractually
And,
obligated salute. to him.
Salute.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
You can't.
Okay.
You can't bring down your
pointing at
hand
me.
Talk about-
until he acknowledges the salute.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, I must have missed that.
Worst salute in the movie of all time was in Full Metal Jacket. Do you ever see that Colonel salute
Absolutely.
that guy? The guy looked like he was covering his eyes from the eclipse rather than saluting. It was pretty.
But generally, you don't
impressive.
have to cover your eyes during an eclipse.
Well,
because
that's
it's dark.
true. You can
So
look
I
right
just-
at it.
It's
No.
just there.
So, Should we go around the table and say where we were during the eclipse, even though
Yeah,
we're talking to
sure.
people in the future, maybe by 2 weeks? Juan, what were you doing?
I was
Taking a
out.
nap.
I was out in the yard
Okay.
with the dogs. I took the day off.
Yep.
It was Monday, so I took the day off.
You deserve it.
With hanging out with my wife.
Yes.
And I looked at my watch. I went, "Oh, the eclipse is about ready to start."
Mm-hmm.
So I went inside and watched it on TV
Okay.
because
Good.
it wasn't really going to be that good around.
Right. Yes. Up in
Neck of the
northeast United States, it was, I don't know, 30%, 40%. Something.
But some of the areas they covered were black. It was blackout.
I'm going to say Cobra was locked in his bunker, with his full jacket on, helmet, survival food with Mrs. Cobra. Did you think it was the end of the world?
that
Go.
Romantic as that sounds, no, that was not. Mrs. Cobra was at work. I was actually tending to the goats
Uh-huh.
who had escaped
Wow.
once again through my intricate defenses that I have put up.
Because of the eclipse, they knew the eclipse was coming. They wanted to get
Yeah,
out.
and they wanted to get on the computer because they couldn't really see it well from the yard, so they wanted to watch on the computer.
Goats are
So
smarter than you think they are.
Yeah.
really
they are extremely smart. Great animals,
Yes.
but extremely smart.
Mitch Stinson, where were you during the eclipse?
I also, as a stand-up comedian, I also had the day off on Monday. Monday through Thursday
Good
is
for
usually
you.
my days off. But
Really? Yeah, okay.
yeah, exactly.
Little
But-
showbiz inside
yeah,
news there.
But
Yeah.
I was outside. I was up in Maine, and actually, I didn't. I did notice that even though it was only like 40-50%, the sunlight was weird. We had
was
We
weird,
had no
yeah.
clouds, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the afternoon, everything kind of had this weird
Haze
look to
kinda
it with
thing.
the sun as high as it was on the horizon at the time. It just kind of felt off. It felt weird.
Well, yeah. I was in a place called the Winner's Circle. It's a bar where you can bet.
Yeah.
And the closest we came to the eclipse was that the bartender went up and down, and he had one pair of glasses. He says, anyone want to look at it? And everyone just said, no,
Nope.
thanks. We're watching the races from Saratoga. We're doing Keno, and we're also betting on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which is still on TV.
I can't believe it. Is
Amazing.
it
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. So anyway, that's how I saw the eclipse.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, I didn't get any glasses. With
that description, I'm
thinking-
surprised you didn't bump into Mitch and some of the other guys from the comedians local.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They do a little Tuesday night thing there, actually. at the
Yeah,
Winner's
right. At the
Circle,
women. Yeah, right. Have you ever done that? Have you
That
ever
was,
done that?
years ago, I went down and did it. It's like open mic. You get to go down and try out some new stuff. And
Right.
It's usually a lot of fun. It's a nice place. I liked it.
Yeah, it's it's
He's a little too busy doing radio appearances for that kind of
Yeah,
work.
this is more important for me right now.
Thank you. So now I'll just give a thumbnail on Mitch's background. He was a carrier pilot for the U.S. Navy for a while, and he left the service and eventually morphed into a stand-up comedian. And I always ask you, how can you? It just seems like such a long leap from A to B to do something like that.
Well, morph is the right word because it doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It's funny because one of the things that I enjoyed about flying for the Navy, I mean, I loved it. But when it was time to move on, it gives you the confidence to go out and do the things you want to do. And that was something I always wanted to do. So I
Right.
figured, what the heck? I gave it a shot, and I'm
That-
still at it. So,
You used
Good
to
for you.
used to fly.
Thank you for your service.
oh, thank you.
Used to
You're
fly
welcome.
EC2s or what they
E2, yeah, E2 Hawkeyes,
E2
which
Hawkeyes,
was the airborne early warning platform off the carriers.
Oh, here they are calling right now.
The Navy.
Did you forget to turn the plane in? Is that
Yeah,
you
right.
signed the
He'll
paperwork?
get back to you.
They finally found you.
Yeah.
I got hacked.
So these were basically the Navy's version of a carrier launch AWACS plane, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and they
That's
got
exactly
the big
what
saucer. It
big
looks like a
dome
flying
on top of
saucer.
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you would have to take off on these things a powered steam launch,
Right.
which I hear is fun, but the landing part, everyone knows is not a whole lot of fun, right?
Well, you know what it was is as it got over time, I was a landing signal officer, so I loved the carrier landings. That was always the most exciting part. Daytime stuff was always a blast. Once the sun went down is when everything kind of changed, and that's when it became more of an effort thing than a fun thing.
Right,
So it was
sure.
usually the nighttime stuff made things a little nerve-wracking.
There's a show on Discovery about 2 hours. I mean, 2 days on. I don't know what might have been the Ronald Reagan or something, or maybe
Right.
an early aircraft carrier. And they're flying. It's snowing out. They're
yeah.
up in the North Atlantic, some freaking place. And one guy misses. Okay, so now he has to go up, and the guy's explaining that. He says if he misses this time, then he has to bolt her off.
Yep.
We have to launch a refueling plane,
Right.
and then get another refueling plane ready in case you have to refuel the refueling plane
Wow.
because the guy is up there taking most of its gas, so
Right.
he can go around again. And it's like, wow, man, that's I can imagine the nerve wracking.
Well, you know what's funny is at nighttime, like we always just say, especially the younger pods, we had called your night in a barrel. And that's usually when you were having one of those nights where you just couldn't catch a wire and you were going around and around and around, and you always had to go find the tanker. But it was funny to me because, especially when I was on the platform as an LSO, as this kid would be struggling, we'd finally get him aboard the ship. And there was a tanker pilot. He was always the last guy aboard, and no one ever worried about him.
Yeah, well, that's funny.
He didn't have to tank. He's last guy on the ship. He always landed without any question. Everybody was relaxed by the time he got on there. So I always admired the tanker pilots. They were the last one to go.
I still can't. I've seen it a million times, like in TV and in movies. I still can't understand how they can do that. I think that is just.
It's like landing on a postage stamp.
No, I mean refueling in there.
Oh, refueling.
To plug that thing into, to have the male go into the female the way they do.
So slowly,
Yeah, the Navy does it a lot different than the Air Force. The Air Force actually, with the bigger tankers, they can they have a probe that a guy on the.
Hold on. Word of the night.
Secret word.
Probe.
Oh, probe.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
There'll be a nice door prize for you downstairs when you leave the station tonight. Thank you very much.
I'm afraid to see what that
secret
door
word.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead. The Navy does it differently than the.
Yeah. So the Air Force, has a boom operator, and he would put the probe. There you go.
Okay,
right into the Air Force's input and put the fuel
Receptacle.
in there. Receptacle.
Is the word
I
they're
just
groping
said.
for.
I was groping.
So we got probe, receptacle, and groping.
And groping all together. I can
earlier
see where
male,
this is
female.
going already. But so the Navy we call it the basket in the Navy.
Yeah, the basket.
Yeah. So we would go ahead and hit the basket.
I'd just like to make 2 quick points, if I may. The other aviator that's on board tonight for a quick tip. The Mitch is being extremely modest. You don't get to do the LSO and talk other folks into the landing unless you really have your stuff wired, and he did. There's no doubt about that, and that is no small honor. And the airplane that he flew has a reputation of being one of the most difficult airplanes to get on the boat. The Hawkeye is not an easy bird to fly because she doesn't have the same kind of displacement with the flight controls that you get from a jet-powered aircraft, that turbo-powered aircraft. And I spent some time in the C2, which is its ugly sister cousin.
Oh, yeah.
A combination to that airplane. Same manufacturer, just a slightly different fuselage arrangement. The other part that you guys were bringing up that I thought was of interest going forward on there is that when you talk about carrier operations and being stuck in the barrel and having all those wonderful times, the paradrogue that the Navy uses is the same one that the Air Force uses to refuel its helicopters. It's the same method where you have the refueling probe on the aircraft and you drive at the drogue.
Yes.
And when Navy comes up to Air Force, most of the Navy fighters don't have the receptacle in them. So they actually have to hit a drogue arrangement on the boom.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
so
Which is tougher?
I think hitting the paradrogue, especially at night, is more difficult because you have you don't have a lot of lights to work with. You're just looking basically at the wing. When you drive up behind your 135 tanker or KC-10 tanker, you have a series of lights and you have the fuselage and you have something that you can work with.
Right. And
once you hold that position,
too,
the boom operator drives it in.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Right.
So, all right. Well, I'll tell you.
The other thing that's really nice is that when you use the boom, you can move about 10 times the amount of fuel, so you don't have to stay there all day.
Oh.
So there are times in the Navy that you actually burning
big.
Almost as much fuel as you're taking on because of the situation in full weather.
Absolutely right. That's big.
Yikes. What do you think they want?
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. So anyway, Mitch.
I was on land all the time.
Basically. Yeah, me too. That's where I would be.
In the Navy, I was on land.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Glad to have you sit in and to join in the Ledge Fun. I just want to say a couple things real quick from my last show a couple weeks ago. We were talking about the Wrecking Crew Juan-Juan.
Yeah.
And people just want us to explain again, what they were, who they were. They were a conglomeration of studio musicians, right?
They're the consummate studio musicians band that played together all the time.
In L.A. in the 60s and the 70s, and they played on probably 80% of the number one hits from American artists in that time. They played on all the Bird song. Every Beach Boys song you've ever heard is the Wrecking Crew playing.
And I always thought it was just the Beach Boys.
Yeah,
and maybe a couple
it's
of
them. Yeah, it's bands like The Association and Simon Garfunkel. It goes on and on and on and on. So there were a bunch of studio musicians at the record companies to save time, to save money. They would put the stars in, have them sing a song that a lot of times was already pre-recorded, and then it'd be a hit 2 weeks later because these guys just knew how to do it. So they were
And they didn't sound alike. They didn't sound like the same.
The same guys playing.
That's what was amazing.
Different guys' songs. They sound like different bands.
Yeah,
They recreated themselves for every artist.
the
It was
same
fantastic.
people who played on Beach Boys songs
Yep.
played on MacArthur Park. Remember MacArthur Park? How incredibly large and symphonic that is. Same people.
Like a Phil Spector kind
Same
of thing.
people. Yeah. So the Wrecking Crew. And there's a movie out there on YouTube. I watched some of it today. The Wrecking Crew. It's an interesting story. If you're into music, it's interesting. And they were behind the scenes for years.
It's on Netflix streaming, I think.
And then I think so.
Yeah.
And then the Monkees. A Time magazine reporter was following the Monkees around one day, and they said, "Oh, we're going to go over and record a song." And he followed them right in. And there's the Wrecking Crew. And up until that point, the reporter thought the Monkees. Everyone thought, hey, they played their own instruments. They're a real band. That was the genie out of the bottle, and that was the end of the Monkees. And it also kind of brought a slow end to the Wrecking Crew too. But yeah, interesting. Anyway,
Since we're in the arts,
Yes.
any comment for the people in the future as we talk in the past about Mr. Lewis,
Jerry Lewis
passing?
Jerry Lewis, yeah. Mitch, is
Do you
he a
think
hero
the,
of
do you
yours?
think the clown movie will finally be shown now?
The day
that
the
he has
clown
passed?
died? The day the clown cried?
Yeah,
Wow. He was
it's a dark film.
He was a true comedic genius, because you look at a lot of times too is that over years you watch the various sticks of other comics as the years go on, but I mean innovators are innovators, and for him to start crafting everything from start to finish and the way he did it at the time he did it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I always marvel at is, so you look back at some of those old timers that were first breaking out. I mean, there was vaudeville, which was not what he was involved with as much, but I mean, he created his own market for himself, and that's always impressive. And then, of course, he did all his own movies.
Did
He
all his own
wrote-
movies, yeah.
So.
He did one. I saw once that he did a movie, and it was I think it might have been like the bellhop, and that's what he used to do.
Yep.
Right.
He'd be like the bellhop who would drop stuff
All
on
that
at the
visual
people.
comedy.
Oh,
is
yeah.
great.
Yeah. So, but he directed that, and his production company, and he just thought it was wasteful for set up cameras, go here, do this, that. So he built a hotel on the set, but it was it was like 9 individual rooms, and that's all they really
all
shot
they-
That's
the
all they
movie in.
needed, yeah.
And he had cameras set up in all of them. Okay, so you don't have to screw around, and then the actors would just go into the room with the set where they were supposed to do it, but they looked like Hollywood squares in a way, and do their scene. And he finished the movie in like 1/3 the time, 1/3 the budget, and he was controlling everything. So even though, and he wasn't the nicest guy in the world, I think he had problems with his family, and they had problems with him, but he was an innovator as far as, comedian, yes, but also behind the scenes. He did a lot of
Right.
stuff. First guy to have a video camera next to a film camera when
Yeah,
they were
he
shooting a
invented that,
scene.
right?
Yeah, so they could see on the video if the scene on the film was good enough.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff like that, But
It's like Les Paul with his guitar.
Never nominated though for the Academy Award in any position.
right, he was in a movie called The King of Comedy. Did you ever see
Yes,
that
I
movie? That's
did.
a
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a tough movie.
And he is really good in it because he plays himself.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
he plays a prick in
Yeah.
a way, and I'm saying that as a verb. But it's a great movie, Martin Scorsese movie. It's super.
Wait a minute, wait. You're the writer. He played a prick, and you said that was a
that's
verb.
a- that's
You
a
used
noun.
it as a verb.
That's a noun. Isn't it?
You meant that as a
And
noun.
The FCC says we can't use it unless we use it as a
Oh,
verb.
then in that case, it was
Don't
a
you remember
verb.
that?
You mean like I
that-
pricked my
So he-
finger? You can't
the
do that?
orientation?
He
Coco,
pricked-
weren't you there?
He pricked up his role, is what you're saying. He verbed it.
There you go. We'd really like to get through this show without any edits tomorrow because I got things to do tomorrow, and so does Jeff. As it
There's Kino. There's
When's the next eclipse?
yeah. When is the next eclipse then?
2024.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be around for that. We'll probably be right here.
Yeah, we'll still be doing the show.
Anyway, I should say too is that we've been talking off air for about the past month or so, only because some of our listeners have suggested it, whether we'd ever do a show before a live audience. Okay. Now,
Wow.
I know. See, here's the guy whose profession is to go before a live audience and look stunned and shocked.
and he's
at the
shaking
same
his
time,
head
yeah.
no. He's
I
giving the
think-
nonverbal
Well-
no.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know what though? It could be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it could be
well,
a lot
see,
of
it
fun.
could
Yeah,
be.
you guys can carry it.
It could be.
Yeah, you
I
can
would
go for
enjoy
it.
it. I don't know.
Enjoy it. Thank you, Mitch.
You'd have to wear something good though. You have to
What do you
dress
mean? Is
for
that a
it.
comment on what I'm wearing now? This is good for me.
It is. It's very good. It's
Yeah.
excellent.
Okay. Wow.
Depends on what
Well, I guess that's like
your
that's
persona
like
is
rope-
going to be.
It took me an hour to
broke
pick out
it for
this
a wire.
outfit.
You
You,
got-
know? You
came
think I
up
just
with
roll
number
out of bed
2.
and look like this?
I'll have to freshen up my Tom Brady outfit.
There you
You
go.
have to come in full TP.
You'll be a fan
Yeah.
favorite right there.
So anyway, I talked to Pistol Pete about it, and he's cool with it. We have enough room for 10 people, all right? And we only have 2 tickets left, 2 openings left. So if anyone's out
10
there,
people in that room.
Yeah, because 3 or 4 of them will be in the studio here with us
Okay.
at any given time.
All right.
So, you know.
Goodbye, summer.
Hello, new fall fashions.
This is a great time to shop Macy's Backstage.
I know, prices are so low you never need a coupon.
They have all the hottest looks for the new season.
For men, women, kids.
Plus shoes, accessories, handbags.
Pet gear, toys, home decor. All our favorite brands, great designers.
We always find something. Best of all, new fall finds arrive every week.
We'll miss you, summer.
The fall looks awesome.
Macy's Backstage savings for everyday life. Visit Macy'sBackstage.com for a location near you.
Yeah.
Mitch, if you're not doing anything,
Well, that
Come
sounds
on down.
interesting already. That's about the normal crowd size I do. 10
no,
people.
that's not true. I went to listen. One last thing I wanted to mention to you, because I said this on the air. We went down to see you, Lois Lane and I, to see you. It was about a month ago now.
Right, yeah.
And you were on with 2 other comedians, and I'm telling you, we laughed throughout, because
Awesome.
all 3 guys were funny.
Awesome.
You were funny. That guy who made himself look like Robert De Niro.
Oh, yeah, Dave Russo. Very funny guy.
Really funny. And then the other guy was funny, too. And we just laughed. We just laughed.
Great.
And then the next week, Lenny Clark and Jackie the Joke Martin were there. And I didn't know, is it not cool comedy-wise to, talk about those guys?
Well, no, I mean, comedy's subjective, so depending, I know that was with Jackie the Joke Man. He tends to work a little on the blue side, so some people don't like the blue side of comedy, so I mean.
If it was funny, they might like it a little more.
Well, I mean, again, I think they're hilarious myself, but I also understand that every audience has a various type of comedy that they enjoy.
Right.
But
the kind you laugh at
the
is
cool
the
part.
best.
The cool part about like
It doesn't have to be an F
Lenny
bomb
right
every
now.
other word.
Tell them I gotta change my name.
I'm sorry. I don't want. I don't want to, but I didn't know whether you can't talk about. It's like me. I can't really talk about like the best-selling hack writers that are out there. Stephen King. It's against.
It would be unseemly.
Yeah. Exactly. So anyway, well, it was very funny.
And that's definitely as a verb.
We look back on that weekend because, usually 3 comedians, right? And and if on a good night, 2 of them are good, and then the other one,
right.
But all 3 of these guys were funny, different kind of humor, but
that
just laughing.
That was a fun night. I was glad you came down. It was nice to see your lovely wife, and honestly, that was one of the more fun shows. But again, comedy is subjective. So if you go and you see 3 comics and you like one of them, you had a good time then. I mean, you're not going to like everybody. You're not going to like every joke. And I used to tell people that. I'm like, sometimes you get up on stage, you're going to say stuff, and people are just going to stare at you. Just keep it moving. Keep moving.
If I was a stand-up comedian, Rodney Dangerfield would be my godfather.
Yeah, he's very impressive.
And funny. It seemed like everything he said was funny.
Isn't it amazing when you see certain people that come across and their star power is just overwhelming because they not only write for themselves, but they also create the persona that goes with the writing, and everything all melds together in this magic moment.
Right.
And a guy like Rodney's a perfect example of it,
He's,
a mentor too, right?
Was he a mentor? Or they always say
I
that.
heard he was along the lines of Jerry Lewis. I don't know. I've never
really?
met
Yeah.
him. I
Really?
never
Because
met
I thought
him.
his club, he gave lots of people breaks.
I'm
in the
sure he
club.
did.
Well, he gave Jackie Martling like $5,000 once because they talked about it on the Stern Show years ago.
Oh, no kidding.
And he came on Stern and he said, "Hey, Jackie, where's my money?" He never paid it back to him. But he just, you're right, because the way he looked in the material he did, it just seemed real. He was like an aluminum siding salesman or something.
Right,
But
yeah.
you just felt that was really happening, to him.
Yeah, he gave it up for a while, and he wrote. He never stopped writing, and that just goes to show you. I mean, that's the true key. But he also wrote for that persona that he created, and
Right,
I think that's every goal of every comic. Is if you can create a persona and then write for that persona, you're already off to the better start.
I hate to do a joke. My favorite joke is because I'll probably goof it up, but he says, my wife and I walked into a hotel and signed up at a hotel, and I said to the bellboy, hand him my bag. He started filling up my wife. I says, "Hey, who said he could do that?" He said, "Everybody." Right, that's it. Give myself a good. So why don't we take an ad now, and we'll get back to the fun with either Rob or Switchblade. All right, does that sound okay?
That sounds wonderful.
Okay, so you're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We're here with special guest Mitch Stinson, carrier pilot turned comedian, sitting in with us for the night. Coco and Jazzy J Swoop are also here.
That's right.
So listen to this ad, and we'll be right back after this.
UFOs are found in Renaissance art, on ancient coins, and etched on cave walls. They're even reported in the Bible. But more surprising is when UFOs are seen the most in times of war. Through centuries, thousands of UFO sightings have been made by high-ranking officials, military pilots, and ordinary soldiers. Often, these fantastic appearances occur at the height of great battles. From World War I to D-Day, to Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, military investigators are baffled. Why do UFO sightings spike so drastically during wartime? Could it be mistaken aircraft, or is someone, or something, looking in on us? In UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, Mack Maloney chronicles centuries of these incredible sightings and tries to solve the puzzle of why so many UFOs are seen while humanity is at war. Read about the scare ships, the ghost planes, and the ghost rockets, alien giants in the jungles of Vietnam, UFOs controlling our ICBM bases, dogfights with flying saucers during the Gulf War, and more. 300 pages of unbelievable stories, along with many startling photographs. That's UFOs in Wartime, What They Didn't Want You to Know, by Mack Maloney. On sale at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
I'm Liam Neeson. You're listening to the Mack Maloney Military X-Files show on Distant Thunder Radio Network. If you don't listen to him, I have a particular set of skills, and I will find you.
Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. In the studio with us tonight, a virtual crowd of people. The very famous Juan-Juan is here.
Hey, Mac.
20 weeks in a row.
Yep.
The big 2-0.
Yes.
One more than the Patriots would have to win to sweep.
That's right.
So you are in a longer streak than they are.
Yep. That's right.
Hopefully they will be.
And they're going to go 19-0, but we're not supposed to talk about it.
Right, right.
Notice I said we.
We, right.
Like I'm part of the team or something.
Well,
You got lucky socks on.
To hear you talk about it, it's
20
like
weeks.
you're
Got the
Those lucky socks.
TB12 hat.
TB12.
There you go.
Right. Hat. He has TB12 feety pajamas with the
right.
little trap in the
The
back.
diaper
That's how
pajamas.
much he's in.
Yeah.
Might not be a diaper now, but maybe soon.
Oh,
Never know.
we can't talk about that. Words have power.
Anyway, words can hurt. Also, and speaking of words can hurt, in the disclosed location, Coco is here with us. Commander Cobra. One studio over.
Can I talk now, Mac, or am I
Sure.
going to step on my intro
Well,
again?
what's the matter? Well, if you step on your intro, don't you want me to tell you? Don't you want to be educated?
No, we have a neutral observer here,
Yes.
and he laughed quite hard. So I
did.
think that indicates
For
that
good
I may
reason.
have a case. This is a kangaroo court
it's
every
a
time we
ballet.
get together.
All you have to do is listen to the tapes there, my friend.
This is
and
just like the flight deck of a
90% of
carrier.
the time, you do step on your own intro for some reason. It's like a premature verbal
What
ejaculation.
noun or verb are you searching for now that the FCC won't allow you to say?
I said it. You talked over it, so the audience missed it. Anyway, Mitch Stinson, carrier pilot / comedian, stand-up comedian, is also with us.
It's good to be here. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, so we're also
Oh, man.
we're also on
Really?
a streak.
Why?
Yeah, not the kind
Why?
of streak you want.
I
though.
grew up there. I grew up in Buffalo. Got to root for my Bills.
Wow. Yeah, well, I guess, but that's a pretty sad
I was
team,
in
man.
Buffalo
It's been
once.
sad for a while. What happened?
Went out there to see the Rolling Stones.
Oh,
Couple
yeah, I
days
drove through Buffalo once and during one of those lake effect snowstorms. Wow,
It's just
a
a
lot of fun that
dusting.
was.
It's
Yeah.
just a dusting.
Well,
I'll be up that way probably tomorrow doing some test work.
it'll probably be snowing then. Half the snow wasn't reaching the ground because it was getting caught in all the high tension wires.
There you go.
They get so much snow there that you need a ski mobile, and it brings you right to the second floor of your house.
There you go.
Hardy people. Hardy,
Yeah, I
I
nice
guess so.
people.
Yeah. They used to have a good football team.
Yep, we will again someday.
Used to have a good hockey team.
Again, someday.
Okay, that's good. Stick with that. Do they have any other sports? No.
Nope,
Nice.
that's it. We can't suffer in too many other sports.
Mitch Stinson, carrier pilot / stand-up comedian, is sitting in with us tonight.
Good to be here.
Juan-Juan, I'm handing you something right now. I want you to identify it for the audience.
Oh my goodness gracious! Wingman, Battle for America, Mack Maloney, Book 18, the audio book. Are you serious?
Yeah. It's an MP3. It's cool. I haven't even opened it yet.
Wow.
Yeah, but you
Nice.
can open it if you can
No,
do
no,
it quickly.
no.
I don't know whether I think there's a disc, a CD in there, maybe.
That should be a disc.
And you put it in your computer, and it downloads as an MP3, and you have the audiobook, and it's presented by some actors, and
That's
they
awesome.
put music and all
That's
that
outstanding.
stuff in it. And a lot of people buy these things, as it turns out. So
Is there the cast of characters on the
I'm
box?
not sure.
Did you do any reading of yourself on there?
No, they wouldn't let me. No one could understand my
They
accent.
don't like
That's-
your velvety voice.
I don't
What
understand it.
accent?
I don't understand it. Do you have any jokes, Mitch, to tell while I'm doing this?
Oh my God! I thought we were just talking about the Buffalo
James
Bills.
Earl Jones on it? Who's playing the Russians?
I always like to. I love to listen to the audiobooks because I do a lot of traveling. And,
Right, and a lot of truck drivers buy
Oh,
these
yeah.
things.
Oh, yeah.
So it's an MP3 CD. So and who plays on it?
You
Let's
can load
see.
it on your iPod. You can
James
load it-
Earl Jones
nice.
is not on it. Robert De Niro, not on it.
Nicole Kidman?
No. Performed by Richard Fortune. Richard Fortune. who is
Johnny
a-
Depp
He's
anywhere?
a Canadian actor. No, and he was fortunate not to call himself Dick Fortune. So he's Richard Fortune.
Very good.
That's for me. So anyway,
Listen, I have several of Mack's audiobooks, Wingman, but they're abridged. They came out as cassettes originally. But if you're a member of Audible, you can get a lot of the early Wingman books. Unfortunately, they're abridged.
They're still abridged.
what does
yeah.
that mean exactly? One cut
It
down,
means they're
edited.
condensed, like
Oh, wow.
Reader's Digest.
Huh?
They left out the best
Are they
part.
abridged badly?
That's
Are
what
they?
it means.
I've never
Yeah, I
listened
think
to them.
in the old days they used to get two cassettes. Each cassette was probably about an hour and a half, so
Right,
you get about
yeah.
3 hours of a book,
Yeah.
and so you have to do a lot of trimming to get that down.
Wow.
Unfortunately, but they're
Or
still
read
out
really
there.
fast.
Yeah,
It's a yeah, right. I
That
read
was
very
that was the
fast there.
politest way of saying you're long-winded.
Yeah, I know. I was feeling that vibe. Thank you.
You're in the same category as Dickens. Take it as a
There you
as
go.
a compliment.
Tolstoy.
Dickens got paid by the word. That's why he goes on to get a penny a word, which is actually used to be more than I was getting,
Wow.
but things have changed.
Really? You got
Yes.
paid by the word?
Dickens
Dickens?
did, yeah. That's why his books are so long. Yep. Anyway, one. We're going to be giving
us.
2 of these away.
Oh, excellent. Tonight?
Okay.
Doing it
Yes.
tonight?
It's an audio book. You can put it in your car. You can download it onto a thumb and listen to it.
Sure.
And, I guess it's a couple hours long. Approximately 9 hours. 9 hours. Holy cow. This is all news to me. And it's unabridged. How about that?
And that makes
You are
sense.
Dick.
If it's unabridged, that's about the length of a typical novel is going to be, anywhere 6, 8, 9 hours, and some are much longer too.
Wow. That's what she said. But listen. So we have to come up with a secret word, guys.
Okay.
All right? Mitch, why don't we throw it to you?
You want a
secret word.
A secret word.
So what we're going to do is just write to us. If you run the books, we probably, you shouldn't qualify. It'd be people who have won before. We'll put the names into the Magic Fishbowl. We'll pick it next week, okay? If we're here. Or maybe the following week. So just write us, wingman@mackmaloney.com. Is that the address?
I thought it was
Wingman@mackmaloney.
I thought it was Mack Maloney. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay, all right, good. Yeah, Wingman at I was just testing him. Wingman@mackmaloney.com. Wingman@mackmaloney.com. Tell us this secret word, and we'll put your name in the Magic Fishbowl. Pick your name out. You get a free Wingman audiobook, all 9 hours of it. Okay, written by Dick Fortune. We can call him Dick Fortune because he's our friend. Mitch, please, the secret word.
Secret word. Secret word is feather.
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 All right, I like
The
that.
secret word is feather.
Feather. So
Like in feathering your nest. Feather.
right, feather. Right.
Rhymes with heather.
Heather. Feather. I saw her. She's down the Golden Banana. Ever play down there?
No.
Yeah. Actually, for about 12 minutes.
Did you really?
You got thrown out.
Really? Wow. The Golden Banana.
An audience of one, and unfortunately, I was the one who was paying. I didn't get paid for the show. I paid to perform.
I paid to perform
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah. And what happened? The jokes just didn't go over. It's
Yeah,
it's
they
a
just-
huge strip club in north of Boston.
Well, I told you I work clean material, so
Yep.
they just weren't into it. I guess.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Now, when I was the last time I was there, which was a long time ago, they
Should have
had
gone dressed as a church lady.
Yeah.
yeah, that would have been funny. All right. See, you should have him as your manager. That's nice. Last time I went there, they had the glass along the stage. Is it still there? And it was everything was scratched and stained and like bullet holes in it. Man,
It's been there a while.
what a show!
It's
Yeah.
been there a while.
Golden Banana.
It was closed for a while, wasn't it?
Yes, they some tax problems of paying off the cops or something.
Is it owned by the same group?
I don't know.
Or the same guy?
I don't know. Want to get down? We'll go down and find out for
Let's
lunch
go.
someday.
Let's
okay?
go. Let's go
Golden
find
Banana.
out.
It's a good research project.
Let's go check it out.
Anyway, so Feather, somehow we got from Feather to the Golden Banana. Who knows? But
I see a
it was
relevance
quite the
there.
trip. Okay. Feather is the magic word.
Chief Wildfeather is performing at the Golden Banana meeting.
Chief Wildflower? Would you want Princess Wildflower to be there on one?
You know,
Which shows are you going
Cobra,
to?
like Cobra says, it goes both ways. So
There you go.
You have to be all inclusive.
Did he make that up?
You need to be inclusive.
I think you're going on the wrong night, Juan-Juan.
I'm glad the combat zone is closed down.
Well, the one over here called Kittens.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, which they call it kittens because they couldn't call it the P word, plural.
They couldn't call it dogs. Puppies.
Last week we drove by there. 2 weeks ago we drove by there, and there were on the board on the sign said Marquee, Bridget the Midget. Okay, I guess she does the circle. The following week it just said Freak Show. And it happened to be with Al Granado, the UFO mechanic, and he said, "How are they not on the same bill?" You know what I mean?
I notice a theme here.
Yeah, anyway.
It's a class off. Come on.
Okay, so Feather, the secret word, wingman at mackmaloney.com, write us, and we're going to pick 2 names out of the hat, magical fishbowl, next week, and you will win.
Who's going to pick the numbers?
MP3.
I believe it's
Who's gonna pick
almost
the
like
names, do you know?
paranormal.
We are.
You think that?
No Lois? Lois Lane is
We'll
on
see.
assignment?
Lois is, busy these days, as it
Okay.
turns out. But what were you saying, Coco?
It seems to be almost like paranormal that he would look up Chief whatever, war bonnet, feather being the secret word, this whole thing with the golden banana. It's very interesting, seeing the parallels
That's
there.
right.
Wow.
It is interesting.
Okay.
That's because I'm all inclusive.
I guess.
That's all in code, Mac, the secret listeners.
Oh, well, I missed it then. Yeah, that's all right. I hope someone out there gets it then. So, on the phone with us, if he hasn't fallen asleep by this point, is Switchblade Steve Ward from the Bowl of Flakes up there in Battle Creek, Michigan. How you doing there tonight, Switchy?
Well, listen, I'm doing so good tonight that there are not words and expressions in any language across this great globe to describe how good I feel. And that also includes dead languages that are not
including
used anymore.
Latin and Swahili
Well,
and
Latin's
stuff.
not exactly dead. But
Well, it's sure it is.
And especially Sumerian.
Oh, Sumerian. Okay, that is a dead language. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Latin, people are still speaking Latin
well, no,
some parts of the world.
I think you see it everywhere.
But they really Latin. You see it in
Yeah,
church.
sure.
In the Vatican.
The Vatican. That's what they're talking about. That's what they're talking in Latin. I hate to think what they're saying. There's a real filthy joke there somewhere, but not tonight because we can't edit tomorrow. We won't have much time. So, Switch, you got a couple fan letters. I saw. on
I got
Facebook.
fan letters?
Yep.
Wow.
Last week, someone called. Well, they wrote me a fan letter. I thought I, transferred it over to you, but I guess not. And they knew everything about Switch. He says, "I can't wait to hear from the guy from the Bowl of Flakes." That's when you
excellent.
have fans there, Switchy.
Well, that's good. Now,
should.
for every
Unless it was
individual
you.
that writes in, doesn't that imply that isn't there some kind of a formula or
Yes,
ratio?
5 million.
Where I might
10 to 1.
10 to 1.
10 to 1. So I actually have 11 fans out there.
Either that or 11 people are listening. Okay. It could be either one. Anyway, we should say, Switch, that you are growing in celebrity as we speak. He's going to be giving a major speech at the Mothman Festival down there in West Virginia on the third Sunday of September, correct?
That's right.
Okay. And the name of that town is?
Point Pleasant, West
Point Pleasant.
Virginia, the
Right.
home of the infamous Mothman.
Right. Mitch, ever hear of the Mothman?
Great movie.
Yeah, the movie's
Yeah,
cool.
Richard
Everyone likes
Gere.
the movie.
Yeah.
Everyone really likes the
I
movie.
enjoyed it.
So Switch is going to be the big speech on Sunday. Have you written it yet? How's it going?
I've got a lot of sections of it. I'm still doing a little bit of research, and
that's bad.
the hardest
That
thing
means
is
no.
to condense it down. I mean, I could
Okay.
speak for 2 hours
All right.
and really put people to sleep.
Now,
So,
listen, you told us last week, the last time we were on, that you were actually going to lead off with a couple jokes. You told us the jokes, and it was basically cricket territory, right? I do remember playing the crickets.
Yeah.
We have a stand-up comedian here with us. He's here to help you. We're here to help you. So what was the one joke you were going to
Is it
well,
coming?
I don't recall exactly. I was going to kind of play off some of my friends, some of the personalities there,
Yes.
and mess with that a little bit. So
Okay.
I mean,
Sounds well
it didn't
planned.
have. Didn't have anything classic.
Mitch, is that your thumb that's pointing downward?
No, I'm very supportive. I'm always supportive of anybody's comedic attempts. I know what it's like when people don't laugh. I've heard crickets before myself. I always say it's good to go with the inside joke, and the audience is stupid if they don't get it. That's the way I feel.
Right. Showbiz, man. Okay, so. But really, other comedians don't want to help other comedians, right?
Absolutely not. It's a competitive world.
Isn't it really cutthroat?
Yes.
Now, listen, I just realized something. We're going to have to do one edit tonight because we did some research last time you were on. You were on by phone. And remember, we asked you what they call groupies of comedians.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We found out.
Goodbye, summer.
Hello, new fall fashion.
This is a great time to shop Macy's Backstage.
I know, prices are so low you never need a coupon.
They have all the hottest looks for the new season.
For men, women, kids.
Plus shoes, accessories, handbags.
Pet gear, toys, home decor. All our favorite brands, great designers.
We always find something. Best of all, new fall finds arrive every week.
We'll miss you, summer.
The fall looks awesome.
Macy's Backstage savings for everyday life. Visit Macy'sBackstage.com for a location near you.
Out. You told me.
Oh, I told you. Okay.
Yeah, you're going to have to edit that.
Yeah, I know. But we got to say it, right? Do you know what it is, Juan-Juan?
No, I don't.
Okay. Coco, you know what it is?
Yeah, I remember it. But go ahead. I'm not going to bore you with it.
Okay. All right. It's going to be 14:20 of this segment. What do they call groupies for comedians? Chuckle right? Yeah. What else? All right. What? Back that up, Mitch, right?
I haven't met any. I'm telling you. They're non-existent.
You know, you could have just said chuckle fornicators.
No. There's not. Doesn't have the ring.
Doesn't have quite the. Yeah, it doesn't flow quite as good.
There's no.
I think though, most of us could figure out which of the words is not the one that was intended to be part of the joke.
There's no chucklers waiting for you at the rear door of Prince Spaghetti House down there.
Just those days are long gone.
Really? Yeah,
they're long gone, Mac.
No, never say never. Look at Juan-Juan.
You're right. It's in the Urban Dictionary.
Right. Anyway, so Switch. Well, good luck with your speech writing. It sounds like you're way behind, and if you need some jokes, Mitch is here for you. Okay?
I'll write you the best jokes I possibly won't use myself.
How's that?
Okay, make them kind of generic, so that I can, adapt them to my situation.
Generic equals funny in the comedic world, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good.
You get 11 listeners, and you start throwing stuff like, "No, thanks. Anything you can send me, great, Mitch. Yeah. Hey, Mitch, can you craft me a set of jokes that I can use any way I possibly need to?"
Sure.
What do
you charge? A penny a word? Is that it?
Yeah, penny words. What Dickinson? Dixon. What's his name?
I'm going to give you the unabridged jokes.
Dickens got paid a penny a word.
A penny a word.
We went back to that history lesson.
What he got for Scrooge?
And he narrated your book.
No, that's Dick Fortune. Okay, Richard Fortune. Richard Fortune, but we know him. We love him. So,
Mitch, I'm so glad you're here tonight.
Very talented.
You know exactly where I'm at. 30 seconds, we're in phase, and he's over here giving me the lecture about who narrated his book.
Mr. Good Fortune.
That's what it said.
Good Fortune.
Mr.
That's
Fortune.
That's what his name is. His name is Richard Fortune. Where'd it go? Yeah, Richard Fortune.
Call sign
from
good.
Canada.
It's right next to 9 Hours, right?
Right next to 9 Hours.
That's what it says, right?
Richard Fortune.
Richard Dick Fortune.
But if he's Canadian, it might be French.
He narrated all. He voiced all the parts.
Richard
Fortune. Ricardo Fortune.
Yeah. He voiced all the voices.
Fortune narrating.
He did call me up. He wanted to know how to say one thing, and I forget what it was.
Chuckle something.
Chuckle something. Yeah, chuckle something. Good name for a band.
In
Chuckle
French.
something, right?
Hey, he's trying to name a band. That should be the name of a band.
So, Switch. Now are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, good. So we're going to talk about.
I am riveted.
He's riveted. I thought he was going to say, "I'm writing the speech."
He's written his whole speech by now. Exactly.
Writing is rewriting. Remember that. So we're going to talk about aircraft carriers tonight because Mitch served on one, flew on and off. Cobra, you have flown on and off aircraft carriers, right?
A few of them in my life, yes, sir.
Okay, Juan told us that he was on an aircraft carrier.
I walked around on one many times on the Enterprise.
All right. And I've seen an aircraft carrier from the dock. So, we're all,
We're all good.
The circle has closed.
Right. So, but there have been haunted aircraft carriers, if you can believe that. And you better believe it because it's a chapter of a book that I did called UFOs in Wartime, right, Switch?
Yes.
Okay. The USS FDR, Franklin D Roosevelt, haunted aircraft carrier because it was the first warship ever to carry nuclear weapons.
Right, and the way it's covered in your book, it's really the haunting comes from a series of sightings of UFOs, and this is 45. You know, the big we kind of usually date the modern era of UFOs from 47 on with Kenneth Arnold's sighting.
Right.
Even though everybody knows that if it's looked into this, these things have been seen since for hundreds of years, but
Old Testament of the Bible, if you're going to believe that book too.
Yes. What?
Absolutely. Ezekiel's wheel.
Right. Ezekiel's wheel.
Right. Now there were what was going on was they had. Oh, I got a weird echo. Weird feedback there for a second. They had a big what do I want to call it? A big event going on.
Big bang.
Operation Main Brace. That's
right,
what I'm looking
yes.
for.
Yep.
In September 1952 for 12 days. And what it was, they had all kinds of NATO countries joining in on this. And what it was a simulated attack, imagining a simulated attack on Norway and Denmark from the Russians. So they were preparing way ahead of time for the Ruskies, in case they were going to attack the NATO forces.
Well,
and so
go ahead, please.
Okay. And so they had, it was a huge operation. They had something like 80,000 men were involved, 200 ships, and several aircraft carriers from different areas.
Yeah, the NATO countries, England, France, I think Norway. There was, I think, there might have been even a dozen aircraft carriers. In this, it was the biggest NATO exercise. It might have been the first really big NATO exercise, and so many people we could have filled like 5 chapters in the book on sale everywhere of reports of people seeing UFOs during this 3-week exercise. People taking movie pictures of them, going over the aircraft camera and stuff like that.
Yep.
But did they ever figure out what was going on there, Switch?
No, but what's interesting is that a lot of the classic shapes that we see nowadays and talk about, they saw during this period. There was a Danish destroyer. They were just south of Sweden. They saw one of these giant black triangles in the sky, which is one of these things that has become more and more common. The UFO thing has actually morphed somewhat over the ages, and we started out with the airships around the turn of the century, and then we had the scare ships and the ghost ships and so forth, and then we had the era with there seemed like these egg-shaped craft were landing and little men in silver suits were getting out, and Ted Phillips is a guy who does a lot of investigating into the close encounters of the second kind, that where a craft or some object leaves a trace evidence, whether it be landing marks, burn marks, or whatever. He said he's been studying for decades. He says that a lot of the solid craft seem to be phasing out, and we're getting more of this kind of light phenomena, not necessarily small orbs, but these big light balls and so forth.
Right.
But back at this particular exercise, they had like I say, there was the triangle. They would see there was a British jet fighter. Now this is all within a few day period. On the 19th of September, a British jet fighter saw a large disc, was kind of on his tail for a while, and when he turned around, it just took off. They were making these incredible maneuvers where they knew right away this was not some kind of conventional aircraft. It wasn't the Russians. It wasn't a foreign agent on Earth. And 9/21, the next day, 6 RAF pilots saw a large spherical object above the North Sea. Now, after these particular war games, there was kind of a lull in activity for a while. But then in 1953, it picked up again. They were seeing UFOs above Guantanamo Bay, and this one looked like just a big bright star.
Right.
When they first saw it, and as it got closer, they could see it was some kind of a structured object.
Yes.
And also, let's see. At one time, they were going around. They had to go around South America because they were way too big to go through the Panama Canal.
Right.
And they saw these two objects that looked like kind of like they were on fire. One of them was on top of the other. It looked like they were interacting with each other somehow. And then they took off and they disappeared.
Wow.
And this just happened in the whole history of this aircraft carrier. You
Right.
go up to 1958 around Guam. They saw a cigar-shaped object.
Wow.
So it really ran the gamut. This is
Right.
almost like a prologue to what we were going to start experiencing in the late 40s and early 50s, all the way up through the 60s.
Right. They had I think it was the last cruise of the FDR is in the Med, and they saw like these objects coming down at them from 50,000 feet at some fantastic speed. Picked them up on radar.
Yep.
600 miles away or something. And buzzed the ship. They scrambled the airplanes and stuff like that. And just something about this aircraft carrier that was kind of I don't know, spooky, creepy. Mitch, what carrier were you on? Were you on one particular carrier for?
Well, I cruised on the John F. Kennedy, which was an attack carrier, and then as a pilot, I've landed on Saratoga, Forrestal. My first one was on the Lexington, which was an old Essex class carrier that they converted over.
Right.
But the FDR thing is interesting because you said the correlation of the first one to carry nukes. So there's been those stories of this type of phenomena around the original creation of the nuclear industry.
There's a place up in Washington where they made the fuel for the first 2 nuclear bombs. Commander Cobra, you must know that place up in.
It's up near Spokane.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, I can't remember the name, but you're correct.
But they saw UFOs over this place the day after they dropped the first bomb on Hiroshima.
Right.
People actually saw. I should know the name of the place, but it's where they process the fuel, and there is definitely something to this idea. A lot of people have written about it, talked about it, researched it, that UFOs showing up over our ICBM bases and stuff like that. And there's always this kind of, as you said, correlation.
Well, the interesting thing is when the CIA did its SEER program, where they brought in folks to try to track, they were using ESP and those kinds of arts as a reconnaissance platform.
Right.
The famous story is that they reported they could locate nuclear submarines and nuclear aircraft carriers, and on many of them, they would report a disc that was in the picture they were seeing, a flying saucer over it.
Right.
It's funny what you say that the FDR, because it was a conventional carrier, the FDR was not nuke driven,
correct,
but it had nuke on there because the Navy wanted to be able to compete with the Air Force in SACs. They wanted to be able to do strikes.
Right.
These are the days where we're talking about building carriers like that, were in your Wingman and Starhawk series, where they're basically triple the size.
Yes.
The Navy actually wanted to build super carriers like that because they wanted to put multi-engine bomber type airplane on the aircraft carriers.
Right.
So that's why they started carrying nukes and things like Sky Raiders and A4s. We're going to make these 1,200, 100-mile trips to drop a nuke. It's amazing, the plan. I knew guys that trained for that mission. Just amazing.
What was the largest airplane that you can fly off of?
Well, I remember.
Well, they had you're talking about all the time would be the A5, right? The Whale.
Well, the Whale was the A3, and
A3,
that was
and then
originally
the
designed as a long range platform for that type of attack. The Vigilante was an R5, and that was a reconnaissance bird, but that was designed originally to possibly
be a
deliver
bomber,
a nuclear
to drop
bomber.
stuff,
But they've had C-130s on aircraft carriers.
Flatley did it once.
And it worked somehow.
Yeah, he was a pretty impressive pilot, by the way.
But the funny thing about the Navy is when you're talking about the kind of airplanes that they fly, everything has to be compartmentalized. Everything, every little bit of space has to be used. That's why a lot of the wings on Navy airplanes fold up, right?
Correct.
And because you have this storage and that kind of stuff. So if you're going to put a big plane on a carrier, it's going to be a small big plane, let's say.
Well, the Vigilante was a pretty big airplane. If you ever watch the films of those guys coming aboard the ship, and the same with the A3, as the commander was mentioning, the Whale. I mean, that was one heck of an airplane in the landing pattern, and those guys really stretched the limits on their wingspan.
If you got good, you had a job for you as long as you wanted to be in the Navy flying those planes.
Oh my God,
they kept people on that did nothing but fly those airplanes because they could.
Mitch, did you ever see anything? Did you ever hear any reports of UFOs flying over your carrier?
No, I never had that experience. Nothing like it.
Could you tell us if you did?
You know what? I don't know if I would tell you if I did.
Did people say anything? I mean, that's the myth. Is that the brass says to all military pilots, U.S. military pilots, if you see something, do not tell anyone about it, or don't talk about it.
It was unspoken. I mean, I think it was pretty much unspoken. So, from my perspective is that if you saw anything that was out of the norm, you would report it to your intelligence officer in the squadron and then go from there.
Right.
Were there avenues for people like that? There might have been.
Mm-hmm.
Were they? I could have served with a guy who did see something and he came back, reported it, and they told him not to say anything. So I never did in my personal experience.
Right. If you had seen something, would you have said anything to? I mean, just in general conversation, or
I think I would have said something if I saw something that I thought was completely out of normal parameters. I think it would have been my duty to report it. And, but I never heard anybody taking any abuse for what they saw. I mean, we saw a lot of weird meteorological things that happened where you kind of go, "Wow, did you see that?" Yeah, that was.
Are you talking about port? Are you talking about port calls?
Port calls.
Or still
Naples, Italy. A lot of meteorological stuff.
That's filthy.
The wine is pretty good over in Naples,
How about
Italy.
ghosts? Because ghosts talked about on Navy ships, military ships,
well,
is not uncommon. I mean, I've been on a number of ships where they talk about the
Haunted?
ghostly inhabitants. Absolutely.
Well, I was
Yeah,
on
the USS Hornet is one of them, I think.
Ooh.
Hornet,
supposed to be a-
Lexington,
Lexington.
Forestdale.
Yeah, I was
The
on
USS
Lexington.
Constitution is listed as one that has folks.
Right. I was on the Lexington, and that was an old World War II ship that they had converted to an angled deck, and I spent many a night on the Lex. I usually a little too tired to really. I probably wouldn't even notice if there was a ghost next to me.
There you go.
Kind of an arrogant pilot thing. Like,
You hut-racking
what
with
are you
the
doing
ghost?
in these quarters?
Say, hey, ghost, what's for mid-rats?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Middle of the night rations, even though you know that. Well, the idea of the FDR, Switch just kind of scratched the surface. There was like some kind of sighting down at in Brazil, Guantanamo Bay, Gitmo,
Yep.
the Med, Guam, and where a lot of people just thought, well, these are UFOs, but it always kind of goes back to the fact that it's the first warship ever to carry nuclear weapons.
Well, are they curious about the nuclear technology or something? Or
It
they
seems
worried
that way.
about we're going to use it on them?
Yeah, they hover over ICBM bases and stuff like that, and where they make process the fuel for atomic bombs for nuclear weapons. People kind of see these things on a regular basis, so who knows? Switch, what else you got there for us, buddy?
Well, there's another aspect to this. Years ago, when I was working in a little hole-in-the-wall factory, I was talking to a guy that said he was stationed on an aircraft carrier, and they were standing on a deck one time, and this very large disc-shaped object came up out of the ocean and kind of hovered for a minute and then just took off.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that had, I guess a few people took pictures of them, and they made sure they confiscated that. And they told the guys not to talk about it. But this is Ivan Sanderson, in his book Uninvited Visitors and Invisible Residents, talks about a lot of this stuff. There's quite a lot of sightings of craft going in and out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
And Sanderson was just, he, for kind of a literary device, he hypothesized that, well, maybe we're dealing with a civilization, a hidden civilization on Earth. Well, let's assume that's true. Yes. They're really going to be concerned about nukes, if not just ETs, but if this is their planet too, they're going to be really concerned about ships carrying and using nukes and so forth.
Right. A lot of people report UFOs coming out of the water, especially down in Bahamas and that part of the world where Artec is kind of the Navy's Area 51.
Puerto Rico too.
Yeah, and that literally in the Bermuda Triangle. And people would say, well, at Artec, which is once again Navy's Area 51, they have billions of dollars of listening equipment for submarines and also air defense equipment, and it's built so sensitive that they can hear Russian beer bombers coming over the top in Norway, and they're down in the Bahamas with these, But the Navy continually, denies that there's any kind of UFO activity, especially USO activity, submerged objects. So you have to say, well, either this stuff doesn't work, or they're lying about it, because so many people have had sightings down there. Commander Cobra, have you ever seen, when you were on any ship or an aircraft carrier, ever seen anything weird that no one knew what it was?
I'm sort of like our guest tonight, Mitch. Very strange meteorological events, things like that. I did experience some of the uncomfortable in certain spaces on boats that were reported to have had either crewmen die, that kind of stuff. That has come up a number of times on different ships that I was on.
Right.
but nothing. Everything I ever saw, when I did enough poking around, I found out it was in a folder I wasn't supposed to be seeing, or something I wasn't supposed to do. And a lot of it, deals with other agencies that only use 3 letters in their alphabet. And they're involved in all kinds of stuff, and they need to use Navy ships. They need to use bases. And, it's probably hard to not draw, pretty quick lines what's going on.
Yes.
I think some of the most interesting people are the people that can't tell you what they've refueled. We were talking about refueling earlier. Tanker guys, boom operators, had some of the highest security clearances.
Right.
And were debriefed all the time because they were refueling airplanes that everyone was swearing the hell didn't exist.
Yeah, right. Never think about that. But yeah. Mitch, when you were, the plane that you flew was, as we were saying before, it was like a mini AWACS plane.
Correct,
you know, and that's like something that has so many sensing equipment on it that it can see far out for you name it. It can see everything, hear everything, type of thing.
Yeah.
So in the course of what you guys were doing, did you ever, do any secret missions or anything like that?
Well, this is a great story because, and I can say it now because the cat's out of the bag years later, but I was down, we were out in Fallon, Nevada in an E2, and the air wing goes to work up out there, and we had straight
Make sure you ask about pigs in space at the end of this story. It's very important. Pigs in space. Get his explanation of that.
Okay.
But so we got close to...
Goodbye, summer.
Hello, new fall fashion.
This is a great time to shop Macy's Backstage.
I know, prices are so low you never need a coupon.
They have all the hottest looks for the new season.
For men, women, kids.
Plus shoes, accessories, handbags.
Pet gear, toys, home decor. All our favorite brands, great designers.
We always find something. Best of all, new fall finds arrive every week.
We'll miss you, summer.
The fall looks awesome.
Macy's Backstage savings for everyday life. Visit Macy'sBackstage.com for a location near you.
Tonopah, which was where the Air Force works a lot of their stuff, and I had a couple airplanes off the nose of the airplane, and I'm looking at it, and I asked the guys in back, I'm like, what do we got for traffic out there? What are they? And they said, we don't see anything. And I said, well, they're right there. I can see them. They can't be more than 5 or 6 miles away. And they were like, no, we don't see anything. Well, turns out it was the... back in those days, it was the
117s.
117s.
Oh, the stealth fighter. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And nobody knew about them at the time. And I remember as soon as I landed, I had a couple guys in black suits waiting to debrief me.
Oh, really? Yeah. Does that mean beat the hell out of you?
Yeah, we were tortured a little bit.
Okay. Went down the Golden Nugget.
Tonopah is an interesting place. It really is.
Right.
There's like 2,000 people there, maybe 3,000 people. It's halfway between Reno and Las Vegas. It's almost like the halfway point. A lot of people make the drive and they stay at there's a place called the Clown Motel there. It's famous. It's big.
That's
clown.
supposedly like the haunted one, right?
Yeah, right. Yes,
it is.
There's a few murders in there, but anyway, they were flying the stealth fighter out of there for almost 10 years.
Yeah,
lots of people knew about it, and no one said a word about it, which was very interesting.
That's amazing. How everybody keep that secret?
Well, there was rumors that they had something there, but they did. They didn't. Really.
They also were very good at the deception on that disinformation program. Right. They had all black A7s that they would fly in front and behind it, so that if you looked up like the second or third one, somebody go, "It's just a friggin' A7."
Right. Yes. Right.
They used to park the A7s out on the runway at different bases and say, "Yeah, they're just running special gear tests."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was an amazing program.
And the Russian satellites would go over and they would say, "Well, it's a bunch of A7s.
It's a piece of junk."
What is this?
Well, it wasn't a piece of junk.
Well,
no, but I mean, in comparison with the
right, break it up, you guys. Break it up. He just called your favorite airplane a piece of junk.
It's quite the fruit debate. Flies. We used to call them fruit flies in the Navy. A7s. They were slow, ugly.
The A7, you have to sit in catapult for 15 minutes, run the engine, because the A model was always losing its engine on takeoff.
Oh, snap.
That's why they advanced to the B model as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, Switcherino. Do you have any more haunted aircraft carrier stories?
Well, there was we did a report last year on the USS Essex, which played a major role in World War II, and that report concentrated on more of a. It seemed like it had almost like a guardian angel, because they were shot at with torpedoes and barely missed destruction a million times. But they also, this is about This was an anonymous letter a guy wrote into Fate magazine documenting some of this stuff.
Okay.
And so this is, don't have the exact date is the problem, but this is almost about the same time that the FDR was experiencing all this UFO activity. And this guy said that they saw a UFO. It was a classic UFO about 30, 40 feet long. It came in at a tremendous speed. It came down kind of at a 90-degree angle and then came up very close to the ship. It was only about 20 feet off the water. And so they started firing at this thing.
Baby, just why not?
Yeah,
shoot
good idea, right? But to no effect. And then after a while, it kind of actually it made a couple loops around the aircraft carrier and then took off at a high rate of speed. So this is about the same time as the FDR.
Something like that. Now, a lot of people saw that. A lot of people, crewmen on the Essex saw that, and who knows how many people. What are they seeing? You know what I mean? I mean, what are they seeing? They can't be mixing it up with some kind of aircraft we have, right? I'm looking at you, Mitch, for some reason.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've never seen anything like it, so I can't say. But who's to deny or to say one way or the other unless you experience it? And if the government's policy is to keep it quiet, then they're keeping it. They're doing a good job, and like I said, I've never had the personal experience.
Do you think they know more about UFOs than they're letting on? Do you think the U.S. military knows? Well, I'll ask you two questions. Do you think the military knows what UFOs are?
Well, if you go on the caveat that that this is a real situation, then yeah, I do believe they do. How can they not? I mean, if you talk about all these stories and stuff like that, then clearly they probably have as much working knowledge as possible on it, because that would be a direct part of their job,
right,
is to do it.
I mean, it's a difference to say. It's different to say, do they know what they are, as opposed to, do they have evidence they exist? They might have. I think they have a lot of evidence that they exist. Film and things like that. I think they have much more than they would tell us. But I'm not so sure they know what these things are.
Well, I would think that if they did, or if it was widespread, then I would think, in my background as an officer and as a pilot, that I would have been briefed on it. So why wouldn't they brief me on it?
Right.
Now maybe they're so far apart and so quick in the in the interaction that they don't feel the need to brief us and have us ready, and maybe they're waiting to see. Maybe they don't know.
Right. Hey, Switcherino, thanks for joining us tonight.
It was my pleasure.
I'm going to also not only tease your speech on the third Sunday in September down there in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the big Mothman Festival, but Juan-Juan, you'll be excited to hear this. That Tuesday, we are running the Best of Switch as the show.
Wall-to-wall switch.
Wall-to-wall switch. Wow. 100% switch.
So if they can't get enough of me at the festival, they got another dose on the radio.
Another dose, interesting way to put it, but yes, another dose of Switch.
I see that fan number getting higher.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yep. Get higher.
Go Switch.
This guy knew everything about Switch, and I got a little afraid for Switch until I saw that he spelled the word honor with a U, so he must be over in England, right, or something. Did you say India?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it could be India. I don't know. Right?
One of those colonies.
But anyway, it's growing. The fan mail has rolled in for you, Switcherino. So
excellent. I really appreciate that. And did you want to promote what we were talking about doing the next Tuesday?
Yes.
I am going to be going to the Michigan Paracon.
Oh, that's
up
right.
in the Upper Peninsula.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Right.
And this isn't so much Mothman oriented, obviously, but it's quite a potpourri of the paranormal, I guess you could say.
Okay, all right, potpourri. I think I know what that means.
Everybody from Bobo from Finding Bigfoot is supposed to be there.
Oh, Bobo's
Rosemary Ellen Guiley, a very well known in the paranormal field. John Zappis, demonologist, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow, so, Bobo was available Juan-Juan to go to the conference.
Right.
It's interesting. And isn't our friend Emily going to be joining us at some point?
Yes,
too?
I got a hold of her, and she said she would be very happy to join in.
Okay.
And help with the report on the following Tuesday.
Okay. I'm not going to say what I'm thinking, but I will do this. Emily's going to join in, Juan-Juan. She's
I can't wait.
Really beautiful blonde from Cincinnati who is also a paranormal investigator.
There you go.
I see a TV show there somewhere. So Switch, get right back to writing now. Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And once again, you need jokes. You just call 1-800-JOKES. And Mitch Stinson will answer the phone.
I will answer that.
Okay,
phone.
the first 4 drugs are free.
Only
What
for
did say?
you, though, Switch.
Okay, the first 4 drugs are free. Okay. Number
Well, I
5.
might only need 4. If I use them sparingly, I might only need 4.
Okay, you
You're
might
a smart man. I already have a feeling this speech is going to be very successful.
To get the vibe from the audience, stop at number 2, I would say.
Exactly.
But anyway, thank you, Switch, for joining us, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Hey, thanks, guys. It was a lot of
we
fun.
should give Switch a round of applause.
Good hearing from him.
Switch arena rules.
Don't be nervous when you're giving the speech, okay?
I won't be nervous.
Okay,
Listen, I've got all this practice here.
Right.
Why should I be nervous?
Oh, do what I did. 4 Jack Daniels before 11 in the morning. For my speech. It went swimmingly well. Anyway, thanks a lot for joining us,
All right.
Switchy. And
Thanks, guys.
why
Good
don't we
night.
take a commercial break right now, and we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back.
British Secret Service.
Hello, Moneypenny.
Hello, 007. How's your mission to steal the secret sex formula from Dr. No-No going?
It would be going fine, except for the 2 idiots headquarters sent with me.
Hey, Mac, did Duffalo Crumpus just call us idiots?
Yes, he did, 1-1. He's an ungrateful putz.
I know. Nice car, though.
Yeah, and you know what? Now it's my turn to drive.
But if you drive, what am I going to do?
I'll drive, you shoot the machine guns, okay?
No way, I'm
You're
driving.
too. No,
I just
you're
have a
driving.
license for you, I'm driving.
Oh, see what I mean, Moneypenny?
But James, we have to get the stolen formula from Dr. No-No before the big 2-for-1 sale.
I'm on it, Moneypenny, but I've got to rid myself of these 2 mushmouths first.
What, huh?
I still have the red button, don't I?
James, not the red button. You wouldn't.
Cobra, save us!
Hello, gentlemen. And you, Mr. Bond.
Oh my God. Is that Commander Cobra?
Jumping from a helicopter through the sunroof of my Aston Martin? Well played, Cobra. But what are you doing here?
Besides rescuing my 2 friends, James, I'm here to tell you that you don't have to steal the Cardillo sex formula from Dr. No-No. All you have to do is go online and order it for yourself, and you'll have plenty of the new energy drink. They'll give you the extra endurance you need to get through your daily workout.
Please, Cobra, tell us why it's called sex.
Well, it's called SEX, S-E-X, for Strength Energy Accelerator, and it's easy to use. Just mix a scoop with water, shaken, not stirred, 30 minutes before you start your workout, and you'll find you can last longer and feel all around better about finishing your regime.
Oh my.
And the mix comes in many different flavors. My favorite is passion fruit.
Mine too.
Moneypenny, now order me a case of sex for the next time I have to fight on job.
Only if you get me an autographed picture of Cobra first.
Why, you little trollop.
Hey, Mac, look at all these buttons. I wonder what they do.
I don't know. Push one and find out.
Not
the big red one. No!
Geez, I hope he's wearing his rocket belt.
Guess not.
That's SEX, Workout Dietary Supplement, available only through Cardillo USA. Visit CardilloUSA.com for more details about our 2-for-1 sale. That's CARDILLOUSA.com and get some extra sex today.
Hi, I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger. Hear me now and listen to me later. Now here's Mac.
Hey, welcome back to Mack Maloney's Military Exile Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. We're laughing here. We've been laughing offline, as they say. Oh, no, off mic.
It's incredibly hilarious.
Funny stuff, which
so we have to bring the
enough
audience
our audience
into
will
it.
never hear. So, anyway, in the studio with us tonight, the very famous Juan-Juan is here.
Hello,
20
Max.
weeks in a
Hanging
row.
in there, yep. 20 weeks in a
20
row.
weeks in a row. Football
And
starts
not
very
once
soon.
did I come in the studio without my pants on.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
right. Now, wait a second. That's a streak we want to keep going.
Plenty of my Tom Brady accoutrements, but, you know.
The undergarments are a bit too much.
That's right.
Also with us, Commander Cobra, Coco, as he's known on the streets, is here.
Good evening, gentlemen, one and all.
There he is. Okay, and also sitting in with us, as I had said before, you know you have a successful show when celebs want to just drop by and sit in.
Yep, and ply their craft.
Right. actually try out material. I think
I've been listening. This is more. I'm gaining material. Is what I'm getting.
There you go.
That voice you hear is Mitch Stinson.
In other words, it's one big joke. That's all there is to it.
Navy pilot / stand-up comedian.
It's good to be here.
Sitting in with us tonight.
So is Navy pilots cooler than Air Force pilots?
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind.
You gotta go through more stuff. That's for sure. More kind of.
That rivalry
Sweaty nights or
goes
whatever.
way back. Fist fights included. Any fist fights, Commander? We got in a few fist fights. We spent the night at an Air Force base.
Oh, really?
You
Yeah.
know, we were standing
Beat
in
up
front
those
of the,
Air Force bunks?
standing in front of the Air Force's base commanders, getting yelled at and told them we can never fly back into their base again. So we always just changed our call sign, and we were back the next week.
Sports. Okay. So the Navy always.
The Navy had everything. I mean, they had,
but you have to look at. Not only do you have to fly the jet, but you get to land it on the
On
moving
your own
carrier
ship.
at night.
Right.
And all that jazz. So
Yeah,
Air Force
amazing.
guys don't have to do that.
No, they don't. They just fly into some base somewhere.
Right.
and
Just
Go
land. No
get
big
drunk
deal.
the rest of the night and drive home.
Pansies.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They're a lot smarter at the recruiters, though, too.
I'm just wondering if Commander Cobra, any fist fights between the Coast
Well,
Guard
I've
and the Air Force?
occupied playing slots on all these teams. I've been on both sides of the line.
Okay.
So to say that things always run seamlessly, that there isn't the flaring of emotions that occasionally, I have to say, though, that by far the Air Force plays a game where they try to act like they are so much more above it all.
Wow.
And the Navy plays the game. Are you kidding me? I'm not on the boat. I'm not in prison anymore.
Right.
So those are the two approaches that clash like hot and cold air.
We
You
tend to
make
be a little
thunder.
unruly. When we get off the ship, we were a little bit unruly.
I wish we had the type of show where I could tell you one of the funniest things I ever saw happen at an Air Force base with Marine and Navy pilots.
Wow.
But we
Okay.
can't talk about it on air. It's shameful.
Okay. Sounds
God
good.
bless
A
'em.
riot, but
God
shameful.
bless 'em.
You know what's fun, Mac, is when it's liberty. Liberty means it's the weekend. You don't have duty. You don't have to be at your base or at the ship, and everybody's out having a good time with the whatever local town it might be.
Go on.
And you're standing. You caught shore patrol watch, so you're on shore patrol.
Yes.
You're not on shore patrol by yourself, but there's like a van parked around the corner, and we go there and get our mission statements. Then we go hit the clubs and hang out and.
Wait a minute. Whoa. You're shore patrol. You're cops, right?
Yeah, kind of. You know,
So what, you go into these nightclubs?
Yeah, just
like
make
a
sure.
knock?
You just make
Undercover?
Yeah.
Undercover?
No. You're in
You're in
uniform. And quite honestly, if
I was
you're
gonna
good shore
slap 'em.
patrol, you can keep the paperwork and careers online.
Yeah.
You get your brothers, sisters, and off the
Out of trouble.
local constabulary very quickly and haul their ass back to the boat.
Right.
Huh?
Exactly.
Before
right.
the-
Mitch is
before the local
nodding
police get
enthusiastic.
Absolutely. God
Kinda-
bless the
I
shore
always
patrol.
did shore patrol the
That's
first
right.
night. Then I knew all the places to go that had the best everything.
I was saved by the shore patrol from the French police in Marseille in 1988. Of course, it wasn't that daring a rescue, but they got me out of there.
Wow.
I'm shocked to find out that gambling is going on in this estate.
Shocked. Here are your winnings.
It was very interesting being
Cobra.
shore patrol.
Should we ask you why the French police were in pursuit?
Well, it was Christmas Eve.
All
It
right,
was Christmas
cool.
Eve, and we had a couple of bottles of the local vineyard stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, we were
Good-
a little.
good
we were
cheer.
feeling a little-
We
yeah,
like
we had
refer
some
to
good
as
cheer
good cheer
going
and a
on,
good
and
stuff.
Just as the baby Jesus would want it.
yeah. So normally in France and the Christmas Eve, they like to have a nice quiet evening after midnight, and I guess we were just a little too rowdy, a little too made a little too much noise as we staggered our way back to the ship, and the local police wanted to put us in the back of their van, and the shore patrol, interestingly enough, maneuvered their van in front of the French police van.
All right.
And we just jumped into that van. We're like, get out of here, let's go. So we made it
May
back to the
I
ship.
Wow.
interject a very funny French story?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Surprisingly, around the
He
same
never
holidays. In
upset
those
me.
days, I was in the Air Force when this occurred. We crossed the border from where I was stationed in Germany, went to a very nice French chateau-type restaurant. Everyone is there, husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, that kind of thing.
Yes.
One of the husband and wives, 04 at the time, they got into an argument.
Cool.
She was so upset with him, she threw on the fur coat and went marching out of the restaurant. She was so angry, and she was at the end of the driveway of the chateau going back and forth. She looked pretty good. She was a very good-looking woman.
Go ahead.
She got arrested by the gendarmes for not having her prostitute license because they did not
There
believe
you
she
go.
was a
Whoa.
prostitute.
You gotta
The
have a
phone
license.
Call comes back.
You
Wait a
do
minute,
have
it
to have
gets
a
better.
license.
You can't believe this gets better. The phone call comes to the chateau. I get the call. Okay.
Okay.
We find out, the single guys find out she's down in jail for not having a prostitute license.
Oh, man.
6 of us bail out of there. 2 cabs later, we're down there bailing her out.
Wow.
Got her license. That's
Filling
how we
out the
got her
paperwork.
license. Came
You were
back
nice enough to get the
restaurant,
license, yes.
and we had Christmas dinner at their house the next day, celebrating her new career path that she could always fall back on.
There you go.
Wait a minute. Now, what country is this that they licensed them? We're talking about France?
France.
Okay, all right. And
Dun,
when you
dun,
say 04,
dun, dun,
I have no idea what 04 means.
That'd be a major. That would be a major in the Air Force.
Okay, all right. Okay. Wow, huh? So The Major's Wife would be the name of that episode.
That's a good book title. The Major's Wife.
Major's Wife.
My favorite story was short. Well, actually, I was coming back on a train. I was up near Paris, and my wife was had flown in. We had like a 3 or 4 day Liberty, and she had flown in, and she was flying out, and I jumped on a train with a buddy of mine. It's an absolute true story. We were heading down to Marseille, France, where the ship was.
Wait, Mitch.
What's that?
They know what to say here. This is not a fairy tale. No S word. This really happened.
Yeah,
they know this.
exactly.
Our listeners are sophisticated.
Excellent. And you know,
Thank you, Coco.
And we were halfway down, and I said, you know what? This train's taking a long time to get to Marseille. So I finally went up to the conductor. I said, hey, when do we get into Marseille? And he goes, no, Marseille. He goes, Madrid.
Madrid.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the train had split, and we were on the half of the train that was headed to Madrid. The ship was leaving at 0600 the next morning. We jumped up that train, jumped on. We started hijacking, like not hijacking, but we were like hobos.
Oops.
We were just jumping on freight trains, getting back to Marseille. Shore Patrol was waiting for us at 06. We were the last guys to walk up the plank before they rolled up the plank and the ship left.
Wow.
Now, if the ship leaves, I'm going to guess you're in trouble. Is that
Mucho?
Yeah, okay.
Mucho.
That would be
Missing-
correct.
Missing
say
ship's
in Madrid.
movement is
This
really
movement
serious.
is like a big deal.
Yeah.
Navies are funny that way.
Yeah, they don't like
You
that.
know, they may
Especially-
salute differently, but when you don't show up when the brow is coming on.
Right.
Oh, man.
They get
So
torqued.
what would happen? They'd have to fly you to the ship's
Well,
next
fortunately, yeah, there
destination
was
or
a
something?
detachment right there, so we would have had to jump a helo and go out, and that would have been even a worse reception. As it was, the reception we got was kind of cool. But I was not allowed to go on Liberty the next time we.
Goodbye, summer.
Hello, new fall fashion.
This is a great time to shop Macy's Backstage.
I know, prices are so low you never need a coupon.
They have all the hottest looks for the new season.
For men, women, kids.
Plus shoes, accessories, handbags.
Pet gear, toys, home decor. All our favorite brands, great designers.
We always find something. Best of all, new fall finds arrive every week.
We'll miss you, summer.
The fall looks awesome.
Macy's Backstage savings for everyday life. Visit Macy'sBackstage.com for a location near you.
Pulled in a port. So.
That's all? That's all that happened?
Yeah, that was a nice.
got off
punishment.
easy.
They got off very easy.
Now, who tells you
Nowadays,
that? Who
that
tells
would
you
have
your
been the end of your
punishment?
career because
Oh,
you had
God,
alcohol in the last 14 minutes of your
my
life.
God,
so
yeah.
that would have been career ender.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you know you've been punished? The captain or just some flunky comes and tells you no shore leave next
No
week?
flunkies. No flunkies involved when the punishment comes
Oh,
out.
really?
It's
Okay, yeah.
Usually,
Oh,
yeah,
usually
yeah.
the heavy hitters come in and they scare you to death, and then they tell you all the things that they're going to do to you, and then they say, well, we decided you just can't go into port next time, and you kind of go, thank you so
Okay,
much.
so what do they do? Like walk into your little...
Was the term hack used at all, Mitch? Did you get put in hack?
I was put in hack, Commander. I was in hack for our port visit into, check this out, Tunisia. I was not
Oh,
heartbroken.
yeah, you really missed a good deal.
Yeah, I was not
Okay,
heartbroken.
you didn't
that
go
I-
ashore there.
Well, it
Okay.
actually worked out.
I was unfortunate that I couldn't go hang out with the PLO in
you go.
Tunisia in the late 80s.
Little political humor, but that's good. Yeah, so...
It always
but-
works out, doesn't it?
But
I hope so, yeah.
do they walk into your wardroom or whatever?
No,
and
they don't
just-
walk in to see you. You go see
You go
them.
see
but
them.
yeah,
Okay, that makes
yeah.
Is
sense.
it called
You
a
gotta cool
captain's
your
mast?
heels in front of their office.
It's a captain's mast, kind of a...
Yeah, well, it was they were
On-board
talking
courtroom.
court-martial for us, but
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
it turned out good.
Another show. But come in, will
Absolutely.
you come in and tell us someday and just blow by blow your near court martial? That'd
My
be
near
funny, right?
court-martial moment.
You know?
Jumping trains. I was
Yeah.
hopping on freight trains. That's how bad it got.
This is a movie, man. This writes itself.
Yeah, we were.
Only
we
if
were
you had like 20 pounds of heroin underneath you. It could just only be better.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with
we ditched
sprucing
that
it
on
up.
the second train. We got rid of that.
Nothing wrong with sweetening the plot there, my friend. So, hey, Rob, you still there, buddy?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Hey,
good.
Did that sound like fun, Rob, or what?
that was amazing.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
That was fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, Rob.
Hmm?
Rob.
Yes.
Coco here. Just curious, has there been any changes in your domestic situation that you'd like to share with us?
Well,
he's got the cat.
Yeah, there was one.
on.
Yeah, that you already know about because I got a cat.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Where does the cat sleep? That's my big question.
Different places, wherever he wants.
Wherever he wants.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
I mean, I have to remind people that way back in Thanksgiving, Rob was on the phone. Thanksgiving time, he was on the phone, and we heard a little bit of noise in the background, and someone was there washing his dishes. Now, since then, quote unquote, washes his dishes has turned into something more.
That's a good code word right there.
For
I have someone washing my. How are you doing? Everything's going great. I have someone washing my dishes now.
Yeah, right. So, but it seems like the dishwasher, in quotes, probably that was the last time that they washed your dishes there, Rob? In quotes?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's
We've
correct.
So I guess what do we move that up to now, Mitch? Is the sink clean?
Yeah, right.
I got divorced for using that code word that washes the dishes.
Is that the wife you were in France with?
This was the one that washed my dishes.
Wow.
We are no longer together.
I see a
Is that the one that you were in France with?
Yes, it was, as a matter of fact. She was bad luck.
Yeah.
She was bad luck.
I'm telling you, I'm drawing Venn diagrams on the intersection. Does not look good here.
Yeah, wow. I was just thinking that too.
So anyway, now that the audience is up to date, we've been, kind of periodically checking in with you to see how the dishwashing situation is going. And now you're telling
You told us.
You told us 3 weeks ago that you were you admitted to watching Loveline on TV, and that's when I really thought it's time for an intervention here with this kid because
actually, it's been like several years since I watched Loveline. So
okay, all right.
Or listen to Loveline.
He's amending.
What are you and the cat? What is the cat's name watching tonight? After
I was
you
going to
get done
say,
with us?
that was my next.
What's my cat's name?
Yes.
Yeah, and what do you do watching tonight after you're done with us on the show?
Well, no, it's literally a cat. So I mean, I don't know if he's going to be watching. Maybe one of those like bird videos, but the cat.
There's a little comedic thing there, right? Is that what you meant? Did you mean that as a joke that he would sit in front of the TV and watch birds on TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, the cat does. The cat does that. It's pretty great.
Okay.
Like you can.
You work that into your routine there?
The cat's name is Chapo.
Chapo.
El Chapo?
You mean that guy, the drug dealer?
Yeah, named after the drug.
That's interesting.
Did that come with the cat, or is this a self-creation?
That was my idea. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
And no one's washing your dishes. I can't imagine that with these kinds of lines and creative cat naming.
Yeah, they can lick a plate; it'll look washed.
I find that having cats,
that's correct.
Having cats and dishwashers kind of go together. Actually, I mean, a lot of the people that wash my dishes love cats.
Hey,
sorry.
Wow,
they don't
there's
all
a lot
work.
in that, Mitch.
They don't all work.
With the new, ROE that we established, you put a lot. Typical Hawkeye guy right there.
Yeah.
One burst, and it's like 6 pages of information there.
We
There's
might
a lot.
want to copyright this one. This is taking on a life of its own.
I had a flashback. Wasn't there an establishment in the area called the Pussycat Lounge?
Wait
or
a
something?
minute. The answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Was it done in the combat zone?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah,
I frequented it often.
I majored in urban geography in
right.
school. That's the only reason I know that.
Didn't Princess Cheyenne play there?
Princess Cheyenne, who had a weird kind of love affair with Cat Stevens. Remember that story?
Yes.
No.
When he was before he was Isma. What's he now?
Ishmael over my table. But yeah, he was. It just came out.
Wow.
I believe you defiled a member of the faith. I cannot. Wow.
Did you flag that tape right there?
He was in Boston, playing at the Boston Garden. Okay, so he was a big star at the time, and somehow he found himself down in the combat zone part of Boston, which really isn't there anymore. But it was like 2 blocks of dirty movies and strip clubs, bar rooms where if you could reach up to the top of the bar, they'd serve you. And you had money in your hand, of course. And
what a place!
He went down there one night and he fell in love with this stripper. Her name was Princess Cheyenne. She was young and so on. They had this really torrid love affair, and then she dumps him.
Unbelievable.
And then, but in the meantime, he had gotten to be very friendly with her mother. And I remember reading once that, after he broke up for the next 2 years, he called the mother at least 3 or 4 times a day, day after day.
Mm-hmm.
Where is she? Can you, trying to use the mother. And she never went back with him. Yeah. And then that's when he converted to the faith, shortly after that.
Really?
When was this?
Probably in the 80s. Well, when was he big?
He seemed to
He was big in the
70s.
mid-70s.
Yeah,
to
mid
early
70s.
80s.
Yeah, probably late.
81, 82 is when he converted, moved to
Okay,
London.
yeah, it's probably late 70s. Late 70s or so.
What was interesting about the Boston comedy scene, because I was listening to this interview with Jay Leno, who was talking about the comedy scene back in Boston back in the 70s, and just how different it was compared to today. Where it was a lot grimier and
Oh yeah,
you had the gangsters going around and
he had a special
different time.
shirt that he wore to gigs that had cigarette holes in it from people flicking cigarettes at him while he was performing.
I can see.
And he performed, like you said, in front of bikers and the whole deal. But he, again, another guy who went out and created something all on his own in this area, and everything kind of went after that. He left the area. It might have been the cigarette butts, but
well, he was at Emerson College when I was there.
He was?
Out, yeah.
Was he teaching or?
No, he was a student.
Yeah.
And he was leaving just as I was going in. Him and Stephen Wright. Remember Stephen
Yeah,
Wright?
yeah, Stephen
Oh, Stephen Wright guy. He's a classic.
Now, talk about delivery.
But Jay Leno, you're right. I remember just seeing an interview with him where he said he played every dive, Combat Zone, the Downtown Lounge, and all these places, and he'd barely get out alive. Never mind, getting
that was before
paid.
the comedy clubs.
But he'd go on before a stripper or
Right.
something like that. But he paid his dues, and
He sure did.
Well, it's tough work in those days because you're up there between two scantily clad women acts while they're sweeping up eyeballs and teeth that have been knocked out on the last two rounds while the exotic dancers are doing their gig, and you're trying to get guys' attention who are all they want now is a beer.
He paints quite a picture of it, doesn't he?
He does. It was very very graphic.
Listen, I'm a romantic at heart.
Well.
Just the sensitivity. What was his? We haven't addressed him as such. You're the action man.
I'm action man.
He was feelings man.
However, one of the other analysts described me as also sensitive.
Really? You're the sensitive action? Where was I? Was I
You
on
were
that
here.
show?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, there was a debate on it.
Okay. Rob, have you do you know anything about the future of aircraft carrier scene as we're kind of doing the aircraft carrier thing? I saw a drawing of one, which it looked like it was maybe 25% longer than what we see today, and it had two superstructures. Instead of just one, it had two.
Yeah, it's the new class of carrier right now. It has two superstructures.
And
really?
And then the one, the Gerald Ford, is that the one that was just launched?
Yep.
And
Yeah, that's the new American one. Yeah,
that has the superstructure almost at the back end of the boat, and you look at it, and it's just a floating friggin' airport.
yeah.
But why the two superstructures? I always thought they wanted to make those as smaller and out of the way as possible, right?
Especially if
You're referring to the Queen Elizabeth class, which is the new British carrier. They're big carriers too. They have two superstructures or two towers, and one is for navigation and one is for flight control.
Wow.
So they just have divided it up. I was curious when I saw that. Do they really need two of them? But because what's interesting about the Ford class, the reason I understand why the Navy moved the superstructure to the rear is to make more room for the deck, because and a lot of it has to do with how you I don't quite understand it. Mitch might want to might know, but it's when you're moving airplanes to and fro on the deck and you're refueling them and all of this, there's this very complicated multi-step process. Requires a lot of people, and so the moving the superstructure allows them to do it in a more efficient manner, so you can cut down on crew, for example.
Okay.
You have more room, things move smoothly, and that's what the Ford class is all about. It's really about making a more efficient, more automated, semi-automated.
That's a phenomenal point, because you're right. The movement of aircraft across the flight deck for recovery and launch and in between launches and recovery is critical, and it is a ballet. And that makes perfect sense, because a lot of the work they can do on those forward elevators and getting airplanes moving and set up for launches, that makes a lot of sense.
It's there's a number of documentaries on the Military Channel, whatever, and they'll something like The Day in the Life of an Aircraft Carrier, something like that, and you would see, as you say, people have different colored vests, and there's different ways to identify these people, but they're out there doing this constantly, day and night, no matter the weather, whatever, and they're like 18-year-old kids,
unbelievable.
Right?
Oh my God,
20-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Who they just got it down, they just got it
It's
down.
really, it's the most impressive thing in the world, because when you're sitting on an airplane on a catapult and you're ready to go, I remember one time one of my mechanics came up. I was having a problem with one of my engines, and he had to come up and take a look at it. And I looked at this kid, and he's like 18 or 19 years old. And I said, "Are we good to go? Can I go flying?" I was literally on the catapult. And he gave me the thumbs up. He goes, "Yeah, you're all set." And I'm like, will you go flying with me? He goes, "Yeah, I'll go flying with you right now." So, but no, they're amazing young people, and they do a dangerous job, and they do it well, and they're dedicated, and they sleep standing up sometimes because they're on the deck so long.
Yeah, right.
Very impressive.
And, a testament to how good they are is that you never hear. I mean, I'm not going to say never, but you very rarely hear of any kind of an accident on an aircraft carrier. We have 12 of them. They're always on the move somewhere. Yep. And sometimes you do hear it, but you really don't.
Well, unfortunately, you don't hear it
when you do.
They don't want to.
They are spectacular when you do.
Yeah.
That's why. Thank God you don't hear it often.
Right.
Yeah.
If you enlist in the Navy, can you try and request aircraft carrier duty?
I think you have to request a rate. You get into whatever rate you're interested in. Do an aviation bosun
needed.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And then the fact that on some of the carriers that we have now, there's counting the air wing, there's 5,000 people on these things.
Yeah, it's
and
huge.
you have to cook a meal for them. There's 4 meals on a carrier, right? Did someone tell me?
They've been doing it pretty spectacularly for 60, 70 years now.
Wow.
After World War II, they've got it 70 years and they've got it down, and it's very impressive to just witness, let alone be a part of.
Yeah,
I think that's a really important point. I mean, about navies take a long time to be built, and the Royal Navy, which has declined considerably since its heyday, is a warning. It's a lesson that if you don't take care of your Navy, it will go away. And to plan and build ships takes years. You build them for decades, and so the procedures and all of that go into operating a carrier at sea. It takes a long time to build. So when we talk about the future of aircraft carriers, I see you can extrapolate trends that are underway now and get an image of what they might be like in the future. But these Ford class carriers will be around for decades. So
yeah, right.
But so what we're seeing is they want to cut down on crew sizes, which I feel could be dangerous. But the idea is you make everything more efficient. So if you're going to move munitions, from inside the carrier up to to the deck to rearm, with the Ford class, they built the interior in such a way that the people moving the weapons are not going to run into other sailors that are going about their work.
Oh, wow,
and you use more vertical elevators to get that stuff up more quickly.
Right.
The launch system, they use electromagnetic rails,
incredible.
which are unlike steam catapults, and so the idea is you can launch aircraft that are lighter or heavier than you can with normal steam catapults.
Right. Okay.
And less stress on airplanes too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so those are some of the big ones. As in the future, I see possibly lasers as defensive weapons. More automation, more drones being launched from them.
Right.
Possibly smaller. We're still doing
the big drones are definitely going to have a big role as tankers.
Absolutely.
I think that's going to be huge.
Yeah. And also, think about how you build a Navy as well. There's a debate about this right now. You have a smaller number of super carriers, or for the same amount, you could have dozens of smaller carriers, like the America class, which is it's an amphibious assault ship. It's a flat deck ship that has that's to launch a vertical takeoff and landing F-35s.
Right.
You could have dozens of those for the same price. And so, if you have China that's increasingly able to track and target the big carriers, well, you might want to have more of the smaller ones. And even some wild ideas like there's this ship called the Montford Point, which is it's called an expeditionary transfer dock. Which is it's a mouthful, but it's really an oil tanker that has been converted to launch hovercraft.
Oh, wow.
And you could put an F-35 on it.
Wow.
It's going to go really slow, the ship, but you could build, they're really cheap, and you could, any ship could be an aircraft carrier, if you think about it.
These days.
Rob, but you highlight there, when the Brits had to head down to the Falklands, a book that has had storied coverage in Mack's writings in the past. They used converted cargo container ships to build basically their fleet that they needed. They were using Connex boxes with tarps to build hangar space, and they sailed those aircraft. Think about it from the standpoint, though, that if you had a special operations contingent that used the F-35B VTOL, the ability of what they could do, when you just made the remark, every ship now potentially becomes a launch and recovery point.
Right. The F-35, we should remind anyone who doesn't know, it's the naval version of the F-35 Lightning II, but it has the ability to fly like a Harrier. It can take off vertically and it can land vertically. And there's a lot of technology involved in it. I heard that, the Harrier is kind of sexier. It used to be, that they've been retired now. But I heard that they were a pain in the neck to maintain and they weren't fun to fly. And can you verify that, Mitch?
Well, when I was on the Kennedy and they did some sea trials with the Harriers because they wanted to see if they could integrate the Harrier into a regular air wing, because we'd have Marine Corps A6 squadrons aboard when I cruised, and they wanted to integrate the Harrier in. Well, the Harrier would come across the flight deck, and I'm telling you, those nozzles can put out some serious force. And you'd be literally ripping up the non-skid, throwing stuff. I was out on the flight deck one time, and the Harriers were coming aboard, and I felt like I had just gotten sandblasted, and I was running away like, oh, we can't have these guys aboard. But you're right. The F-35 is going to, with that thrust vectoring and all that stuff. And
well, the F-35 doesn't use a thrust vector. It uses that ducted fan that opens in the back to produce.
It does, but it does also have thrust vectoring capability, does it not?
Yes, with the nozzle on the back end, so it's the same hot gas coming out of the engine. It just moves. Its turkey feathers in the back part move.
Right.
That's the big difference between the Harrier. The Harrier used all its exhaust through those nozzles and rotated the nozzles to give its ability to go into vertical flight. Yes. And for flying fun, all the Brits that I knew that flew it, when they started to experiment throwing the nozzles in flight, it was pretty amazing what they could do in air-to-air combat. They would slam those nozzles, things that they weren't supposed to do as it was in the flight handbook, to flip those planes around.
Right.
They said it was a lot of fun to fly. It was not. It was a handful when you came into the hover portion of it, because they didn't have perfected computer. They were manually flying that.
Oh, absolutely. And they were squirrely. They were always squirrely coming aboard, especially at night, which was always interesting.
Yeah. So the F-35 is supposed to be a improvement over, all the cranky systems that the Harrier used to have. Supposedly they have like 500 gallons of water every time they take off, because they have to blow water into the exhaust, and it's really it's a hard plane to maintain. So
I flew before they had cell phones. GPS alone. The E2s. I think the E2s.
Goodbye, summer.
Hello, new fall fashion.
This is a great time to shop Macy's Backstage.
I know, prices are so low you never need a coupon.
They have all the hottest looks for the new season.
For men, women, kids.
Plus shoes, accessories, handbags.
Pet gear, toys, home decor. All our favorite brands, great designers.
We always find something. Best of all, new fall finds arrive every week.
We'll miss you, summer.
The fall looks awesome.
Macy's Backstage savings for everyday life. Visit Macy'sBackstage.com for a location near you.
Electronic package I could fit in my phone now from when I was flying, so I'm probably not a guy to talk to about the modern technology.
I got to tell this story. We in our week off, Lois Lane and I went to the Museum of Science in Boston, and they have a thing called Popinology, and it's the technology of the pop culture, right? It's starting with like 8 tracks and
mini discs
and cassettes and you name it, and whatever.
Digital audio editing.
Right, and old Atari games and that kind of stuff, okay? Right. So walking around, a lot of it was really pretty interesting. We get to a display, and it says, "Who remembers this technology?" Okay? And my cell phone was there.
A flip phone?
Flip phone.
I would have thrown out a bag phone or something
Time
like that.
Time to get a new phone. But anyway. So
I think there'd probably be a trend back to those flip-up phones, though, because people are information overload with the smartphones.
Yeah, it uses the text occasionally and talk on the phone occasionally, and that's it. I don't can't play movies on it or whatever. I don't have a Tom Brady case that I carry it around. I'm like,
right, I do.
But,
Oh, wow.
Anyway, I just want to ask this two quick questions. Number one, sometimes you'll see like a aircraft carrier in a documentary or whatever, and it'll have it looks like every inch of the flight deck is filled with airplanes. So many so you can never land and take off. And other times you'll just see like one or two planes up on the deck. Now I'm thinking, when all the planes are up, are they cleaning out the hangars or something, doing maintenance on the hangars or whatever?
Well, I mean, obviously they can. You could just catch them at various stages of what they're doing.
Right.
There could be a few airplanes deployed out as they're doing some carrier qual stuff, or there could, full air wing embarked. You're always going to have a pretty full flight deck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where we were talking a little bit, Rob, about the movement of airplanes around the front of the island and all that stuff. So it's pretty impressive to watch. You go into the flight deck control, and they've got everything lined out of what airplane goes where and how close they are together. And
it's crazy. They do it day after day after.
Well, it gets a little hairy. I mean, no doubt about it. I had a Tomcat taxi into me one time while we were at sea, and we had a pretty nasty little collision on the flight deck. And I mean, it's hard to avoid sometimes, but that's how good they are.
Mm-hmm.
They really are.
Wow. So, and my other question is just looking at the Gerald Ford, and you should just like Google it and take a look at it because it looks so odd because the superstructure almost looks like an afterthought. Don't you think with sensors and everything these days, couldn't they just make a complete flat top? Do they need the superstructure at all? They can see all that stuff from down below.
Well, the air boss might argue with you because he likes to watch his deck, and he's kind of like the eye in the sky over the flight deck. So he's watching all his personnel running around from the grapes, refueling airplanes, to the ordnance guys, to the taxi movement around the airplane. So he's kind of like right there watching everything, and that's his world, and it's a pretty intense world. So I'm pretty sure he would not like to watch it from a camera.
Yeah.
I wonder about where the watch crews stand on the carriers. I mean, you have a watch crew in the tower.
Mm-hmm.
You have.
That's.
Oh, that's a question, Ben.
As far as watch crews, as far as like when we're not flying, is that what you mean, Rob?
I would just watch crews, watching out for their ships and.
Well, yeah, and then you have the navigation section of the bridge or the island, and then up high is a pry fly where the air boss watches the flight deck alone. He's kind of like running an airport, but the navigation part of the bridge, and then you have the admiral's part of the bridge. So there's several layers to that. So yes, they do have their Navy watch crews doing naval stuff while the pry fly guys are doing.
Do
the
they have to
aviation
stand the whole time? Or they give them seats to sit down.
There's seats for the captain.
Oh yeah, he's going to sit down. But at some point, you have to stand up.
I
there
think
for
it's a pretty
hours and
intense
hours.
watch. I've only been on the bridge once because I messed up a man overboard drill, and I was standing the whole time.
Okay. Another chapter for the book.
Yeah,
He didn't go overboard.
Captain
as orders.
Jack Moriarty from Attleboro, Mass. He lit into me pretty hard. I'll never forget that.
It was just a drill, though. No one was hurt.
No one was hurt in this story, except me and my.
Did you leave him on a train? Is that what happened on this man overboard?
Thank God that happened before the train trip. So.
Another show.
Did you have to walk the plank after that?
I thought he was going to make me walk the plank for a while there. He lighting me up pretty hard.
Wow.
But yeah, I think the guys on a watch, the navigation watch, are on their feet and they are paying attention because that's a very intense place.
Mm-hmm.
It was when I.
I think the point to emphasize is that really every minute at sea is dangerous. I mean, hazards
can go wrong.
Can come out of nowhere. Yeah, any minute, every minute.
Recently.
But people, I don't think people realize that about the Navy.
And also,
if they don't have experience with being on the water,
right?
Let alone a warship.
And it shows you that we have 12 or 13 carriers now, in that area. Okay, the next 10 largest navies in the world are our allies, and then you got everyone else, right? Some of these other, like India has an aircraft carrier, but it's more of a Harrier type, platform.
Right.
We have our own small carriers that are similar to that. There's no country out there who can, as you call it, a ballet, but it really is, who can match the expertise and the training. And
well, it goes for what Rob was saying earlier is that it takes a long time and it takes years of developing, and they just had a big joint exercise because the Brits are bringing back carriers in, and they're trying to get their feet wet again.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the advantage right now is clearly U.S. Navy. It's the mightiest Navy in the water, and
go Navy.
U.S. Navy in the house.
How come they always
But I
use
mean,
the Army?
if we
in
look
the,
at China,
Army
right?
Navy
I mean,
game,
we see these new carriers that they're producing.
Yes.
A lot of that's about building that experience. So
Correct.
by
Correct.
2050 or something, they'll be a little
2050
caught up.
Wow, you're an optimist, there, my friend.
They get those
Maybe
jump jets.
being charitable, but
So listen-
it take decades. So
I want to ask Mitch a question, and then we'll end with you, Rob, on your love life. Okay. We have to. Mitch, you've talked a lot about how when you go on an aircraft carrier or you get your wings, you get a nickname along with it.
Yes.
Okay? And we've talked off air about Top Gun. Maybe Top Gun
Top
2
Gun
might
2
be a bomb. We
coming
don't
out.
know. But in the first Top Gun, the characters were they were almost like cowboys or gangsters. They
Right.
had all these cool names, right? Like Ice Cube was.
Right.
Wasn't he
no,
nice?
no, it was just funny because if you've ever been associated with it, I mean, in the movie it was Maverick.
Yeah, right.
And Cougar.
Yes.
And Goose was a silly
Goose.
one. Yeah, he was a
That
silly one.
Yeah.
And then Iceman was the best one.
Iceman.
Yeah,
That was Val Kilmer, right?
He
was
was
he
great
always
as
eating nice
Iceman.
no matter what? He's eating nice.
Great story in that movie is he was filming the movie. He went out drinking with the real F-14 guys one night while they were filming the movie. Came back, he had a huge circle about the size of a silver dollar bruise on his chest. He couldn't figure out what had happened. And apparently, all night long, the fighter pilots were going up, poking him in the chest, going, You look like the one who could be a real fighter pilot. And they just gave him a bruise.
Oh.
Yeah, they gave him a bruise. So.
Good story.
But yeah, the nicknames are pretty funny.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So, but tell us the reality of it.
The reality of it is that the guy I flew with guys like Putz and
Putz.
Tinkerbell
And Schmuck.
and Butterfly and it was usually
Speedy
an
Four, Speedy Gonzalez.
It was always an embarrassing story, right? You did something stupid to get your nickname, like if a guy got drunk and passed out in the Admiral's Flower Garden, they called him Mulch.
Wow,
so,
Mulch,
yeah.
okay. There you go.
That's pretty good.
Vomit Man.
But my favorite one of all is it's an absolute true is a kid spilled a hot cup of coffee in his crotch in the ready room, and he spent the next 20 years in the Navy known as Hazelnuts.
Yeah. We could not go by without you.
Thanks,
so
Mac.
much.
I appreciate that.
And your nickname was Hangman, right?
Yeah, I was a hangman.
You
Yeah.
fell out of a
Which
cockpit.
just sounded
you were
really
hanging
cool.
there?
Yeah, I didn't disconnect my oxygen mask. I jumped off the rail of the airplane and forgot to disconnect it, and I was hanging off the side. My feet were like 2 feet off the ground. I had a fire and rescue. I had to come over and rescue me.
Weren't there like nurses around or something?
Yeah,
You had an
I was-
audience for
yeah, I
that
was
too.
at Shepherd Air Force Base for the nurses' graduation. Yeah, I didn't.
well.
I know what that's all about.
Yeah.
That was a ploy.
Yes, it was.
Okay. And Hangman, you never know. Hey, Rob. Okay, we
Yes.
have.
Help me with my hose, nurse. Help
Whoa.
me with my hose.
We said we didn't want to edit tomorrow. We don't have time. Well, fill us in. Just fill us in. Nothing's happening. Your dishes are still stained.
Yeah, it's.
So did Love Connection say if you got a pet, it would help you with your love
Where
life?
did you read that?
No. It was a totally innocent. Somebody in town was giving up a cat. And
Male or
I
female?
took him in. It's a male cat.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No. The person that was giving up the cat. Come on, Rob. Work with me here.
Stop it.
He was a male, but I think he said it was on online. He said that his son was allergic to their cats. So he
This
couldn't
is
keep it
getting
anymore.
sadder and sadder.
Yeah.
You're
Don't let him
online.
pick on you.
Well, but it's a
Online
good,
looking to
heartwarming.
adopt a
It's a
cat?
heartwarming story.
Did you
The
go
cat
on?
is pretty good.
How did you find out about the cat?
Reddit. It was like
Reddit?
the local town. Reddit. Somebody's
So
like,
that's what
I gotta
you're
give up
doing.
this cat.
You're
Are you going
reading.
to be going to like some cat parent support groups?
Yes, that ain't
Maybe,
right.
check
one
out
step-
some
you're
of
one
the
step
other
ahead of me there,
new
Coco.
cat parents that are out there.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
That's a very good idea.
Now, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Can I
I'm sure that there's
please-
probably a couple
There's some
like-minded families that would like to meet El Chapo.
And who like cats?
Possibly. I can just imagine me in this park with like a cat on a leash, like all these
Oh
other
my
people.
God! Hold
Yeah,
on.
if it
singles
looks
with
like a
their cats.
lion, yeah, I
Too
think
far
that's a
gone.
good way to go. If it looks like most of the cats that I have,
That's
probably
so
not so
embarrassing.
much.
Well, hey, let me just ask Rob a question. I want to
Yes.
get back to. I don't want to bury the lead, as they say. So you are spending time actually online looking to adopt cats, looking for orphan cats.
Well, no, I wasn't looking for
Okay,
it. I mean,
well-
I just came. I was just looking at other news.
Yeah,
like local.
look at the stress in his voice on the screen
Yeah.
when on the answering that question.
Yeah, look at the sine wave on that one.
Yeah, right.
So
You
that-
know,
okay,
exactly.
so-
It looks like a lie detector test.
Yeah, I was thinking, but those things are not scientific.
No, that's right. Well, neither is the sign one is holding up to me that says, "What about porn?"
He
I
went
guess
from
wants to
female
attach
to
that. Would
feline.
you rather watch porn than look for orphan cats? Though there might be some orphan cats porn out there. You never know. There's everything else.
Well, he He searched for the P word and got the cat website.
See? Mitch is bowing to you.
If you're on Facebook and you come across something,
I bring a couple things up and I get spanked over here behind the bulletproof glass. One's talking about misspelling on a porn website in the deep dark web.
And poor Rob
how
is
Rob ended up
rescuing
with a male
animals.
cat. God
You're
only
picking
knows
on
where this
poor
goes now
Rob.
in the last couple of minutes.
Wow.
Mitch can't even talk. He's looking for his oxygen mask, which he left apparently tied up alongside the airplane or with a Navy or an Air Force nurse.
That's right.
In Texas, I might add, this all happened.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's
the
the
conspiracy
buzz-
just
that's
keeps
happening, Bob.
wrapping and wrapping.
Does the cat have a little cowboy hat or a little, perhaps, Dallas Cowboy sweater or something? Are you planning to dress it for football season? Or because I got a feeling you're going to be watching a lot of games.
That hadn't occurred to me, but now that you mentioned it, a cowboy sweater would be.
And what are you doing? Are you buying cat food from that discount store where you buy your coffee?
No, I get the good stuff.
Okay, you go.
And I up my coffee game, so because that last stuff is pretty gross.
Oh, what? Yeah, but it's cheap, wasn't it? 50 pounds or $11? People wrote
I
into
got
us
some
about
big
that.
thing from it was like the cheapo brand. Never
again. Okay, but the cat eats top of the line.
Yeah, no, I give them the good stuff.
I can tell you
Go to the pet store.
I know one thing about cats. They'll eventually eat what you give them.
Yeah.
It does make a difference if it's chicken of the sea or something else.
When they get hungry.
When they get hungry, they'll eat it. They'll be fussy at first, but that's all that's out there.
I've become aware of that. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, well, listen. If you start dressing them up in any way, you'll let us know. Just let us know for laughs, okay?
Okay, yeah, I'll let you know.
Hey, Rob.
I don't think it's too likely, but
okay, all right. That's
Rob,
okay. You can talk to us.
With other single cat parent support groups and get back to us. I think this is easier than going to the gun range and meeting people. I think the cat support
I'd go
group
with the gun range,
might be the way to go for you, Rob, just to help you.
Yeah, you'd be surprised with the gun ranges in Texas, though. They've all kinds. So.
It doesn't surprise
Yeah,
me.
we know that, and we can't get you to go, and your dishes aren't still getting washed. You have a dirty sink.
You want to
So
go in with a GoPro camera, go into
Fair
the gun range and meet girls.
There you go.
Right? Why not?
Rob, I've had a cat for years, and I still have a cat. So call me if you want some padding advice.
There you go. Some what? Did you say catting advice?
Padding.
Oh, okay.
Do not make that call, Rob.
Wow.
I'm telling you right now.
If you do, please record it. Okay?
Lose that phone number now.
How to pat the cat.
Wow.
How to pat the cat.
This-
Right.
What's another way that one could say that?
Oh, I can think of a few.
Go
Heavy
ahead.
petting.
One.
It's on a website called Keep Your P Word Happy.
Wow. 2 S's in that word?
Yes.
That's okay. All right.
Yeah, that word was also used in the famous James
By a
Bond
vowel?
line.
Pussy galore
Yeah.
is the name of that's right.
That's right.
So the
And
secret
he
word
says,
is
"You're
galore.
joking."
Okay. Listen. Rob, thanks a lot for joining us. Please keep us up to date on all your activities, okay?
Yeah, okay, no problem.
Right? Okay, and we'll see you next week. Keep your head down. We didn't say that he was calling in from Dallas, murder capital of the planet, graveyard of beloved presidents.
With dogs running around everywhere.
9,000 feral dogs running around. Yeah. Quite a party down
So
there.
Ezekiel Elliott's not playing, right, for a while?
6 games.
Mitch said in one lucky cat?
Yeah.
Okay.
One lucky cat
We'll
down
see.
there in Dallas.
Rob, I know I'm not the first one to tell you this, but, if you die, he's going to eat you at some point. You know that, right?
Well,
Isn't that
Yeah,
usually
but
what happens
it's
to
true in
everyone?
reverse as well. So.
Oh, Cobra, you know about animals. Isn't that true? Won't the cat eventually eat him?
Yeah, probably take a little snack.
Hopefully someone will
to
check in
maintain.
on you before that
cat will-
happens,
One bite
Rob.
at a time.
The cat will scratch
We'll
him
be
to death.
calling him if he doesn't pick up the
I was
phone.
just
We'll
ready to
figure the
say,
cat is well fed.
Put the cat on the air.
Oh, there you go. Can he say anything more than meow? Does he meow at you, Rob?
Yeah, he's got a pretty whiny one too. So.
Is he bilingual?
Did he say
Does he
whiny?
meow in English and Spanish?
Oh, it's just a little bit racist there, Coco. Anyway.
Whoa. Back.
We have to
back
say
off here,
goodbye
throwing
to Rob.
the R word around here, please.
And this is the end of the show. Juan-Juan. Have we done our math right?
I know. We're going into overtime.
Okay. All right. I want to thank Rob Beckhusen for joining us tonight and informing us on carriers of the future, aircraft carriers of the future. How much did the Gerald Ford cost? I'm going to guess about $3 billion.
More than that. I think.
Really? Yeah.
But,
wow.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, include development costs, maybe 10. I have to look it up, so don't hold me to it.
Wow. That's wild. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week, okay?
All right. See you then.
Rob Beckhusen of War is Boring. WarIsBoring.com, the best military reporting on the internet. And, Juan-Juan, they're going to do a big story on us someday. while I was worrying. And
That's
all
right.
that
I'm going to be
sort of
ready.
scrubbers.
I'm going to get a haircut and everything.
Yep. We'll read about how we've been promoting them.
Yep.
Just as friends for the past 3 years, every week. Anyway, thank you, Rob. I want to thank Mitch Stinson, our celebrity of the week. Let's
Celebrity.
say, dropped
like
in
that
on
word.
us, want to sit in on us like Clapton sitting in at the Who or something. You've enlightened us, funny man, and you've also made us laugh.
Thank
That's
you.
what you want, right?
It's fun to be here.
Mitch Stinson. Okay, he's going to be down at Giggles now. We're going to hear the people of the future.
When are you going
won't.
to be at Giggles?
Well,
I'm
it'll be
actually Giggles this weekend.
This weekend, but the people of the future will hear us next week. So.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
so
Anyway.
they'll have missed it.
We heard it was really funny. We had
Thank
really
you.
big
Yeah,
reviews.
I tore it
For
up.
the good reviews. And you're going on tour?
Yeah, we got a new project going. It's called Take This Job and Shove It Comedy Tour. We got a former district attorney who's now a comedian, and I'm a former Navy pilot who's now a comedian.
Wow.
And, so we're putting together a little theme concept. We're hitting the road here this fall and next year.
So it's a former district attorney.
Yes,
who
he
was.
was. Paul D'Angelo, very, very funny.
Oh, he's
man.
a funny guy.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
well, I've
is.
seen him
Yeah,
down there. He's
yeah.
hilarious, that
Yeah,
guy. Yeah,
he's on it. Christine Hurley, who is an extremely talented comedian, and she's a mom, mother of 5, homemaker, who kind of said, take this job and shove it. She does
Really,
comedy
yeah?
now, and she's fantastic. And myself, so we're really looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun.
Now you're going to all drive in the same car?
I hope
You're
not.
gonna
We
be
can't
taking
drive in the same
airplanes?
car. Yeah, I'm going to go in a separate car myself. Yeah, I'll make my own travel arrangements.
All right. Okay. Hey, let us know where you're going to, what cities you're going to hit, and we'll plug.
Thank you.
Mitch Stinson, really funny. Thanks
we'll
for
be
joining us.
groupies.
Really appreciate it. Yeah. Groupies, thank you. We don't have to edit that up, but we know what they, are really called. Commander Cobra, thank you for joining us. He's in the studio with us, Juan-Juan. What's going on?
Just wanted to pass 12.8 in round numbers billion. For the Gerald
for that little yacht that they built there. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
As always, gentlemen, a pleasure to be in your
Yikes.
presence, basking in your aura.
Wow. I thought he was going to drop the mic like the kids do. Juan-Juan, of course, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Always,
Pleasure
20
to be
weeks in
here,
a row.
as always.
The secret word was?
Feather.
Right, feather to wingman at mackmaloney.com. That's it. Wingman at mackmaloney.com.
Right.
It's a secret word, and we'll put your name in a magic fishbowl, and if we pick it out, I'm going to send you a copy of the Wingman audiobook, 9 Hours of Fun with Dick Fortune, and reciting or playing all the parts in
All
Battle
the
for
parts.
America. Yeah.
Even the heroine?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. I'm going to have to listen to it. I'm going to have to set aside 9 hours and listen to them.
That's like a season of Game of Thrones.
There you go. Right. Maybe, yeah. And it says entertaining. It really is, and Dick Fortune would be the first person to tell you that. But anyway, thank you for joining us, okay? When we see you next week, it will be hopefully 21 in a row, and
That's
1
right.
week away from the Patriots opening.
I know it.
No, you'll have to bring a box of tissues.
Ready to embark on the 19-0 season.
Oh, boy. Yeah, jinx them right out of, well, you're ahead of, there's a million people ahead of you.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Jinx 'em.